Good evening, everybody in Chiefs Kingdom. Matt Derrick with Chiefs Digest here for it's Q&A night. I love Q&A night, my favorite night of the week. And I mean, it was so early that Sharon was here an hour early. I love it. Literal. Hooray, hooray. It's Q&A day. I hope you all enjoy Q&A day as much as I do. I love it so much. I am going to try to go mostly lightning round tonight, just so that we get everybody's questions in and a reasonable amount of questions in. And, you know, I don't pontificate too much. Here's my bet. Even though I haven't invited him to the Q&A yet, so I need to do that real quick. We'll invite Nick Jacobs in. Need him because I couldn't make it through without his grace, his presence. We definitely need Nick because there's things that he can always answer better than I can. So we can't do this without Nick. So let's get the invitation out there. But this is an exciting week. It's a busy but slow week, I guess is a good way to put it. I mean, if that makes any sense. The Chiefs are knee deep in preparation this week. For them, this week is all about getting the game plan in. It is all about preparation. And Chris has the first question along these lines. So let's just kind of get into it right here. Can you describe the prep work and schedule that the Chiefs will be following this week? How is it different than other weeks during the season? In one way, Chris, it's not different at all. It's kind of a similar week. I mean, they'll go through everything like they normally would during a game week. The only thing probably is that they would do a little bit more work, on Monday and Tuesday. They had meetings on Monday, probably a few more meetings today. Then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be practice days. Saturday, they will do a walkthrough like they normally do. And then really it's then packing and getting ready to head down to New Orleans. So it's very similar, except there's just a lot more prep. They only have one media availability. That is on Thursday. No availability on Wednesday and Friday like they normally would. And honestly, I mean, Andy Reid's cramming even more work that he's taking advantage of every single second that the collective bargaining agreement gives him to have these guys in meetings, to have them on the field, to have them doing run-throughs, walkthroughs, practice, anything and everything. He's still going to take it light on them to a degree. A lot of it's going to be, at kind of a run-through pace. It won't walk-through pace. It will be probably Thursday might be the only day that they're in pads and helmets. Maybe helmets and shells on Friday, but most likely, only pads and helmets on Thursday. I imagine Wednesday will be typical. Friday would still be a 10-10-10 practice, which, for those of you who don't know, that's 10 plays for the first team offense, 10 plays for the first team defense, and then 10 minutes of special teams with 3 rotations. So everybody to get 3 run-throughs. And it's all about, hey, the ones versus the scout team. And, for the offense and defense on Friday, they get 30 plays to go through and practice that day. So there's just going to be more prep, more meetings, all of that. But really, Chris, pretty much the same schedule. So it's not totally different. Ted with the super chat. Appreciate that, Ted. Ted Lasso. I know it's not Ted Lasso, but I would like to think that it's Ted Lasso. I hope you're having a good night too, Ted. You're interested in sports writing and such, but have a lot of questions. Is there a way to contact me directly? Absolutely. If you are on any of the platforms, I mean, YouTube's a good place. You can reach out to me here. I think the direct messages should be open on there. If it's not, let me know and I will change that. But Facebook, Twitter, both have, if you're on those platforms, I'm open up to direct messages. I don't normally put my email address out there, just because I've, gotten it spammed and everything. I mean, it is out there if you want to find it, but, yeah, I mean, like I said, any of the social media platforms, if you are on those, Ted, including here on YouTube, reach out, you put a comment. If you can't find a way to reach me here on YouTube, make a comment on one of the videos, one of the posts, you name it. And let me know, because absolutely, anytime I try to answer any questions anybody has. So, would love to. Absolutely. Talk to you, anything like that. I try to help people out as I can and give them any advice that I possibly can. I can't tell you that's necessarily good advice, but I can at least try to answer your questions and try to help people out. So I really enjoy and love doing that. I had someone that asked me for a class project. It was a high school student a couple of years ago. I guess it would have been the Super Bowl in Phoenix, and asked me, and I was like, I mean, I try to never turn these questions down and anything. So I accepted. It was during Super Bowl week, leading up to it. And I just have a distinct memory of typing that email on my phone, trying to answer his questions while heading to opening night on the bus, the media shuttle on the bus for opening night Monday night at the Super Bowl. Probably not my finest email I ever sent, but I tried to answer his question. So Ted, yes, any of the social media platforms, my messages are open. So feel free to hit me up anytime there, and truly appreciate the super chat. Des, one of our longtime member for 8 months. Des, truly appreciate that. And like you all know, super chats and members get you up to the top of the food chain. What's the practice and media schedule like next 2 weeks? We kind of talked about this week. Next week, and I tell you what, I can give you the exact schedule once I pull up my email. And Sharon had this comment. I'll bring that kind of into the question too, because she noted that yes, the NFL revealed today the uniforms. The Eagles are the home team. This is the year for the NFC to be the home team, so they get to choose uniforms. That they also get first pick of everything, just like last year the Chiefs got first pick of everything. They got to pick uniforms, they got to pick where they practice, they got to choose media times, they got to choose when they practice, all of that. The Chiefs got to pick first last year. That was the AFC's year. This year, NFC year. I expected the Eagles would go with their some form of Kelly green. I don't know what they're going to be wearing for sure, but they'll be in their home colors. Chiefs in the whites, I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, Chiefs might just go angelic white. Who knows? They can do anything there. But yeah, I kind of went over what the schedule is for this week. For next week, and like I said, let me find my email here. And I know it's out there publicly too, so I think you can find it. But Nick's going to chastise me for not having it readily available. Here we go. Let me pull that up. Because the Chiefs opening night, I dread this. Because the Chiefs go second on Monday night, opening night from the Caesars Superdome. The Eagles have their photo and interview sessions from 7 to 8. The Chiefs go from 9 to 10. Just means a late night for Matthew. Matthew's not crazy about that, but we'll make it work. The only reason I'm not crazy about it is because Chiefs go second, but then they go first on Tuesday. Their media availability Tuesday is from 11 to 11:50 Central Time, and that's just going to be Andy Reid and 9 players. So there's 10 available that day total. Wednesday is when full team availability starts. And so on Wednesday and Thursday, we get access to everybody. We get head coaches, assistants, everybody. It's the same thing on Monday night too for opening night. So it's really the best availability of the year. I mean, you get players, practice squad, injured players are available if they're there and attending the Super Bowl. Like I said, assistants. A lot of assistants we don't normally get to, like assistants to the assistant position coaches, people in the front office. It's a really great media experience to be able to get with them. The Chiefs theirs will be from 8 to 9:15 on Wednesday and Thursday. Once again, I don't love that time, but here's the great thing: the Chiefs, Andy Reid loves that because he likes to practice in the afternoons. So this gives him afternoon practice time, which he loves. He's okay with that. When the Chiefs have had first pick, they've taken the early morning media interview times. So they went first last year ahead of the 49ers. So it's right what Andy Reid wants. What I have not heard yet, and actually I have it now. I don't know if it's out, how wide it's out there yet, but maybe Nick had already heard this. Chiefs are practicing at Tulane at the college facilities. So that's once again normally the team that gets the first pick first usually picks the NFL facilities, as you can understand why. And I think Nick's ready to come in. Nope, he's shaking his head. I thought he's in the green room. I thought he was ready. He is ready. Now he's I don't know what Nick's doing.
Nick, greetings, Matt.
Give me a hard time there.
What's happening, man?
Wow, how many sport drinks have you had today?
What?
How many sport coffees have you had today?
None. I've had none.
This is just natural Nick Jacobs?
Well, I did just eat, so I'm pretty amped up right now. And then I went to the station, got a hot chocolate. So
this is just natural Nick Jacobs flavor. Super Bowl enthusiasm.
You ain't kidding, buddy. Okay. This is enthusiasm through and through.
So I was going to just wrap up. That's what it is. I mean, this week and next week practice times and the media schedules. There's nothing on Friday. They do practice on Friday, but there's no media availability during Super Bowl week. Friday and Saturday are kind of dead days, work days, but dead days as far as media goes. But Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, well, actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, excuse me. There are 4 days of media availability in a row. So, and Super Bowl opening night is televised, so you can watch it there and catch some of the nonsense that goes on there. It's my least favorite. It's my second least favorite day, I think, of the NFL season, Nick.
Why? Is it because there's 5,000 credentialed media members at it, or
part of
because
it?
You know you're not going to ask, like, you'd be like, hey, if you were a pony, what would your name be? Or if you...
Part of that, too.
If you were, I don't know, a vegetable, what vegetable would you be?
I mean, and this, I'll just say it. Yes, this is criticism of the NFL. There is nothing serious about opening night. I mean, I don't mean this as an insult to anyone on the live stream. If you applied for credentials for opening night, you got a 50-50 chance. If you just said that you're broadcasting to 3 people in your apartment, there's a pretty decent chance that they would credential you for opening night, because I have not seen anybody credentialed for opening night that, there's nothing that has disqualified anyone. They'll let anybody in there. And the terrible thing, they try to make it a show. So there's music playing the entire time, which means you can't hear anybody. It's just terrible.
Look, man, I enjoy the guy who wears nothing but a barrel walking around the NFL media.
Yes.
Or the guy who dresses up as Andy Reid every year.
Every morning show in the country that, if you name it. I mean, it doesn't have to be a sports show. Not a sports show. There are plenty of just music shows that show up. If you've got some funny, gag morning show in your town, they are going to the Super Bowl.
Matt, did you notice my background?
I did notice your background. I'm assuming. Am I behind you somewhere?
No, I specifically did it when no
one was there.
You see Blair over in the corner there, and then Adams to this way over here. No, yeah, that way, right there. Nope, rotate it. There we go.
And if you all want, some more inside scoop, I mean, Nick took this picture basically probably standing at my chair.
No, I couldn't stand. I had to take it low because I did shots up higher, and I was like, I don't like that angle.
Oh, there you go.
I'm standing while I'm doing this. And I took this a handful of days ago just because I like to give you guys new backgrounds for it. So I am technically not in the Chiefs media workroom, so Chiefs security doesn't have to worry about that right now. Plus, it's showing light, and this is a 7. It's not the same.
Julia Gulia was not ready for Energized Nick, so.
Well, I mean, I got to keep you guys on your toes, okay? But don't you worry. Let's get to 5 or 6 of the same questions, and then I will be done.
Okay. See, that was one of the things I was going to say. I said that I was going to try and keep it lightning round-esque tonight.
Matt, you say that every time, and we're until 9.
I swear, you will talk more tonight than I will.
I want to believe you.
From here on in, you will win.
Oh, guys, this is a challenge.
This is a challenge. And I'm not doing it to try and curtail you. I'm trying to, curtail myself. So,
Matt,
I'm just saying.
Journey. Let's go on it. Okay. Let's do that.
Literal there. This is a perfect Monday night, opening night NFL question. You could be credentialed for this event because that question would be perfect. And here's the best thing about opening night, Nick, is that not only will someone get asked this question, 15 minutes later, somebody will come up and ask this exact same question, a different person to the same people.
100%. It's going to happen.
I mean, and hey, we all needed, it was all a moment and everything. It was great. All of that. I mean, not great, but it was a historic moment. My first Super Bowl in Miami was right after the Kobe Bryant accident. And you know what? It was legitimate to ask every single player about it and get their thoughts because everybody had feelings about Kobe. It was a legitimate news story. Would have been great if maybe the NFL just said, hey, why doesn't everybody that's on a podium just answer that question to start off things? Because you go through that audio, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. And I swear, if there were 300 questions asked, 150 of them were the exact same question about how do you feel about Kobe Bryant? Because all of these reporters just come by, they do their flyby, they ask their questions, they get out of there, and they all ask the same questions. So even this is all recorded, you can get it, you can get the audio, you can get the video, whatever you need, but no, everybody has to go up and ask the same freaking question over and over again.
Well, Matt,
lightning round.
I don't know what to tell you.
All right, I'm done here. I've had my soapbox. That was my rant for the night.
Hey, look what I made my lower third for you.
I like that. I approve.
KSHB 41. Oh, all right.
I can go back to the large format.
KSHB 41 sports producer
person, and
he's a person who sports produces.
I was gonna say sport coffee enthusiast, even though you haven't had any sport coffee yet.
I haven't today. We're saving them, dude. I did buy 4 more of my Hy-Vee, 1 for each day. Got some Dunkin' Donuts ones too, because I'm gonna need them for the next 2 weeks.
Luttrell, what's it like to be an Arrowhead after hours, seeing that field with few people are around?
Well, that sounds like a fun show. Arrowhead after
dark. One thing I will give the Chiefs one thing about this is that they let a lot of the staff that works that after the AFC Championship win take the rest of the night off, go celebrate. I'm not even sure. I know the poor folks who cleaned the parking lot had to work because they were still working, Nick, when I left at like 1 o'clock in the morning cleaning up everybody's trash. And here's another rant for me. I tailgate just like anybody else. I've tailgated a lot at Mizzou.
Matt, don't follow people that closely.
Give
them at least 100 feet difference.
I've tailgated at Chiefs games. I'm just telling you right now, folks, for the love of God, bring trash bags, police your trash, and take it with you. It's not that hard. It's not. I mean, I know folks are getting paid to do that, so I'm sure. But I also know these folks are out there at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's 4 degrees outside. I'm sure they'd probably prefer to get paid to do something else indoors, maybe when it's warmer. You can clean up after yourselves, folks. It's my big pet peeve. Clean up after yourselves. But relating back to what it's like about Arrowhead after the AFC Championship game, Nick, is that since they let everybody go, early and go celebrate the AFC Championship, after the game, and I don't know if I posted this. I can post it on Twitter if you want. I got really motivated. I can even put it on the screen here. They just leave everything on the field, Nick. I mean, the stage that they brought out for the celebration and everything stays on the field till Monday when, Travis Hogan and I guess his crew comes in and probably cleans it up then. All the confetti is on the ground. I mean, it is just exactly as you saw it and left it when they sign off on the broadcast.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You are crushing it in lightning round right now.
Great. I'm getting in trouble here already.
You're not getting in trouble. You just gave me this hardcore vow that you're like, you were going to talk more than me. And I'm saying 3 sentences.
I saw this question, and of course it was at 7:02 that KC Chiefs 12 posted this, 22 minutes, behind already. But I knew this was going to be a question I wanted to ask you, Nick. So Any chance that the Chiefs move Tooney back to left guard to block Jalen Carter? Caliendo got pushed back by the Bills. DT and Carter is a monster inside.
I mean, if I were in the Chiefs' shoes, I would have already done it last week. They got 2 weeks to put it together to have Humphries and Joe Tooney work together. Like you said in the past, whatever Patrick Mahomes wants is what they need to do. But yeah, Caliendo just doesn't. He's not going to fare well against Jalen Carter. I mean, that's going to be a tough, tall task for him at this stage in his career. That's going to be tough for him, and it's going to be tough for Trey Smith. And like that's how Trey Smith performs. If the chances he goes up against Jalen Carter, that's going to potentially earn him a lot in free agency, or it's going to hurt him somewhat in free agency because that's what's on the line for Trey Smith if he goes up against Jalen Carter. So, would I love to see Joe Tooney at left guard and DJ Humphries at left tackle? So the Chiefs can have the overall best offensive line for that defense and going up against Vic Fangio, totally would. But I don't know if Andy's going to change anything. If he wasn't going to change anything last week, I don't know if he'll change anything now. So I guess the thing I would say is I think it's a great idea. I just don't know if they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to either. I mean, especially after, when I asked Andy on Friday about even making the change for the AFC Championship game, I mean, I've really got the vibe from him that die is cast. I mean, I think that putting DJ Humphries back at left tackle, I think is plan B. I think it would only be if, Caliendo got truly eaten up, really, really struggled at left guard that they would make the change, or if there's an injury. I mean, I think that's the vibe I got. I don't, and I mean, and once again, I mentioned this to Ryan Tracy earlier on Locked On Chiefs.
Teams do you do other shows besides ours?
I do other shows. I
can't believe that.
You know what? I also had lunch today with our mutual friend Josh Briscoe.
Can't even look at you right now.
And I know. We got some folks here, with weird game fans. So, it's okay. That's okay. We can all get around, Nick. We can all be friends.
No. Must always be like Anchorman with different news agencies.
But changing the lineup is before Super Bowl. I mean, unless it's, a starter who's been starter all season. I mean, it's 3/4 of a game. You just can't make that change. I don't think before a Super Bowl. I just don't see it happening.
But Matt, you got super chat alert.
We do have a super chat. I'm glad you noticed. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's because I stay at the bottom of the comment section where it's happening live.
Mark of a great producer. Hey, Suze, how different will your guys' job be if the Chiefs were not on this playoff run? Ooh.
Matt, you should probably go first because yours would be different than mine.
Yours, mine would be different than yours. You know what? One thing if the Chiefs, let's say, had just not made the playoffs, because that's different than being knocked out of the playoff run. But I will say, I mean, if the Chiefs had made the playoffs right now, I'd be working mostly on the draft. That's what I'd be starting to work on. Reading a lot more about that, getting ready for the combine, doing some research, getting ready for it. This is also, of course, when you get into, evergreen type stories, kind of cleaning up some things and looking forward, because you're not that far from free agency. So it's starting to look at free agency a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly that kind of thing. Although usually at the end of the season, I try to take a couple of days at least to decompress. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends on how much decompression I need, Nick. The Chiefs don't give you a lot of time to decompress when they make deep playoff runs. Had the Chiefs not made the playoffs at all, I've always wanted to go to the Senior Bowl. I've always wanted to do that. I'd love to make that trip down and just make it once. I hear it's great for, meeting people around the league and everything. And you get to see some of the, Chiefs personnel, because I mean, they'd probably be down there an entire week. Whereas it is now, Brett Veach usually just flies down for a day and comes back. So, that's one thing I'd love to do. I'd love to go cover the Senior Bowl one year. But other than that, it would just be moving on the next season, frankly.
Yeah. So for me, it just means I don't go out to Chiefs anymore. I mean, I'll keep tabs on whatever breaking news happens or anything like that, but then we would just be into full swing basketball, waiting for Royal Spring Training to start up, Still covering high school basketball. Obviously paying attention to the Kansas City Roos, Missouri, or KC Mavericks. Then Sporting Kansas City, they're in preseason right now. Kansas City Currents training before their preseason. So I do a lot of other sports and keep tabs on a lot of other sports. And then Missouri softball is getting ready to come up. They're probably going to have potentially a good year. You got signing day coming up here in early February. So all that combined, it's a part of so sports never stops for me unless I take PTO. But then, it delays it a little bit. Still may get some calls or text about it. But, yeah. So, I mean, that's primarily that. And then, go cover the Royals potentially when they come back sometimes. And some of the other sports that will be going on throughout the year. So that was what would change. And then I would do draft stuff on my own personal time and wouldn't tell any of you about it. Because when I do mention a prospect, then I get 20 responses. Have you looked at this guy? What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? So I don't say anything if I do until I'm ready to put the board out, because then you can ask all your questions that you want, because I know who you're talking about. Because somebody could be like, hey, what do you think of Timmy Timerson? Think he's a pretty good linebacker? You could be making that up right now, and I'll be like, I don't know. I haven't watched him yet. Not knowing that you're making that up, because that's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Nick, I normally say that unless they play for Mizzou, I really don't know that much about them. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know much about our right tackle that everybody seems to think is now a first-round draft pick. And
yeah, I think I can't remember if he's at the Senior Bowl East-West Shrine. I put him on a list somewhere for us to keep tabs on this week. And you got Pro Bowl. You got Pro Bowl coming up this week. Pro Bowl games.
You know what? That's one
East West Shrine on Thursday night, and then Senior Bowl on Saturday.
One thing I do love about the Chiefs making deep playoff runs every year, Nick, is I don't have to care or notice the Pro Bowl.
Well, Matt, I still need content on our road to New Orleans this week, so I'm going to watch every ounce of it.
I know you do.
That may be a whole segment. You never know.
But I don't have to worry about it because the Chiefs don't have anything to do with it. I love
a friendly reminder to watch Road to New Orleans every night at 6:30.
Yes.
KSHB 41. It'll be on. I'll start producing again tomorrow, and I'll do it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Since the Chiefs are only doing sound on Thursday, I will use that sound on Thursday, Friday. Try to see if there's anything left for Saturday. If you're out of town and want to watch it, I will post the link on Twitter. It is KSHB.com/live. You can watch it from anywhere in the country.
You beat me to it, because I was going to say that one thing about your job that would be different this week is that you would not be doing Road to New Orleans.
That is the one thing that would be different. The only thing that would be different. Everything else stays the same.
You would have more free time.
That is the only thing that would be different. Everything else stays the same.
Charlie knows me too well.
Charlie. That's not Uncle Charlie. That's just regular Charlie.
Just regular Charlie.
Regular Charlie.
Mark, how's Jaylen Watson been performing his first 2 games back? I'll admit, Mick, I've been impressed. I did not think that obviously he would be back at this point and playing this well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had to notice him, so that's promising. When I don't have to notice you, that means you're doing your job.
As a corner and an offensive lineman, those are the 2 things the best things you can say about someone is that sometimes is nothing at all.
Yeah, I haven't been like, boy, he looks like he's out of spot, or boy, it looks like he's not able to turn and run. Yeah, Jalen's been able to do all that. So
yeah, he has. He's been playing really well, and I mean, he heard it all, Nick. I mean, he knew that people did not think that he could make it back by the end of the season, and he used that.
Matt, how would you know that?
Because I was one of them. I mean,
how would you know that, Matt?
Because, well, I don't. Did I must have told you this then. I must have told you.
No. I'm just saying if you want to share with the people.
Oh, I didn't know if I told you this story.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. See, I try to be a stand-up journalist because one of the things one of the things that's great, even though locker rooms are weird, we all know it. One thing about locker rooms is that it does require journalists to sometimes face the music. When you've reported something about a player, you've said something about a player, there's an accountability to walk into that locker room. And if the player wants to say something to you or talk to you about it, they have that opportunity. And to Jaylen Watson's credit, he didn't say anything to anybody. He didn't come up to anybody and say, hey, I heard you say this and so, anything like this. I went up to Jaylen after the AFC Championships game and just said, hey, look, Jaylen, I'll tell you, I was one of the people who said, hey, people inside the organization are telling me he's not going to be back. They're not counting on him. That this is an injury that's 12 weeks minimum. He's probably not going to be back. And I told him I was one of those people that reported it. So I respect the heck out of him for what he put into it. And I asked him, and I didn't have to ask him. He just said, "Oh, I know everybody said I wasn't going to be back." He's like, "I just use it as fuel. I use that to drive me. The more people that said I wasn't going to be back, it just made me work that much harder." So I guess, Nick, it is partly my fault that he's back, because by saying he was going to be out at least 12 weeks and probably not play this season, it's my fault that he came back. No, I'm just kidding, people. I'm just joking.
That was all Jaylen, man. Jaylen put in a lot of work to make that.
Exactly. I mean, and that's why I think it's important, as a journalist, to be accountable. So I told Jaylen, I mean, look, I'm impressed. You beat it. I mean, you did an incredible job. I mean, I salute him. And that's one of the things I also, if you remember, everybody, I mean, I said, I'm never going to bet against a player. I mean, I thought it was going to be impossible for him to come back because, like I said, that's a minimum 12-week injury for most people. Pacheco had a similar but better version of that injury. Jaylen's was much worse than Pacheco's, and Pacheco was at 11 weeks. And that's not a knock against Isaiah Pacheco. It's just the reality of injuries, and players heal differently and all these things. And you must be reading the comments down the road, Nick, or you're just talking about the fact that I am in lightning round and not doing a very good job of it.
I just love how you came in all determined like 15, 20 minutes ago.
This is a small soapbox that I think it's important that, when you get things wrong, to stand up and be accountable and let the player. And if Jaylen Watson wanted to say F you to me, I would have been okay with that. But he didn't, because I think he's a pretty stand-up guy too. So, and he was one happy camper after the AFC Championship game. He deserved to be.
I just love how you came in all determined on lightning round, and we're like, Nick, you're gonna talk way more than I will, and I'm like, okay, challenge accepted.
All right, I'm gonna have to rein myself in now. So sorry everyone else after this.
You're not going to. I know you.
Cody, the T backfield formation was something interesting. Wonder what else is off of that. It's been dissected so much now. What do you think? What did you think of it? I guess the diamond formation is what it's frequently being called.
My coach taught it to me as the inverted wishbone, because you got 3 in front and 1 in the back. So I mean, some people call it T formation. Some people can call it whatever the heck they want. I call it the inverted wishbone. So in terms of that, what I can say is like the Ravens ran that against the Bills in Week 4. So the Chiefs saw it. Chiefs knew they could work with it, and Chiefs were like, "Hey, I doubt they're going to adjust to it." And it's going to be a nice little wrinkle to throw at them in the run game that they're not going to be prepared for, because their defensive coordinator isn't very good at making adjustments. And they went out and ran it, and defensive coordinator made adjustments to it. And so that's a big part of a lot of the questions the Bills need to ask themselves is, what did they do wrong? Why did they lose that game? And who should be moving on, being made available to the industry? And there's some people, if I were in Buffalo, I'd be making available to the industry, because they didn't step up to the plate and do some stuff that they needed to from a coaching staff perspective. And the Chiefs outcoached them in key moments. So that's why Buffalo's enjoying their offseason. And some people are upset about officiating, is really more because of the Buffalo coaching. So, just to get to that point, the Chiefs are going to find some other wrinkles that the Eagles struggle with. Because, for example, I'll do this real quick. Whenever I watched every single Eagles game last time the Chiefs and Eagles played in the Super Bowl, watched every single one of them. I saw in one of the weeks when the Jaguars ran the motion. And as Matt remembers, when I did my video breakdown, I had that play in there, the motion that they ran. And I said, their corners couldn't cover this. Their corners didn't switch off properly with this. This is there for the taking inside the 10. You now know it as corn dog. But it was on tape in week 2, week 3, week 4 against the Jaguars when Doug Peterson ran it. The Chiefs saw it. Chiefs write that down. and they scored 2 touchdowns off of in the Super Bowl when it mattered because the Eagles never adjusted to it. So the Chiefs are going to find stuff looking at every single game the Eagles have. What didn't they adjust to? Do you think they'll adjust to it? Put it in the playbook, and you'll try a formation when the time comes and see how they do against it. Or show it and have a wrinkle off of it. So that's what I can tell you about what the Chiefs are probably doing.
That's the key. It's the Andy Reid classic of showing you the same look multiple times and running something different off of it every single time. And the only thing I want to put on this as a bow, Cody, I mean, to me, it's not even specifically about that formation, but to underscore Nick's point, Chiefs will continue to beat Buffalo until Buffalo and Sean McDermott and that staff realize. And you know what? I'll say the same thing probably about Nick Sirianni, because we might see the same thing in the Super Bowl, is that you're not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs until you expect the unexpected from them and you do the unexpected against them. Because the reason why the Chiefs beat Buffalo is that the Chiefs did plenty of things that surprised Buffalo on both sides of the football, and the Bills didn't do a single thing that surprised the Chiefs. Mallory, is it crazy to say that they are a super similar team to the 49ers squad from last year? Above average quarterback, superstar running back, solid defense.
I think the Eagles are a better team than what the Niners were last year. Because the Niners didn't have this offensive. The Eagles have one of the best offensive linemen in the league because they got the best line coach in the league, Jeff Stoutland, who's been there since after Andy Reid in 2013 and has never left there, and he's never going to leave there unless he wants to, because the Eagles know how valuable of a commodity he is as an O-line coach. So that O-line for the Eagles, that is a great offensive line. The Howie Roseman, the general manager, knows how to draft. And Brett Veach came from the Howie Roseman school from being there. Andy Reid's been a part of that. They're very similar in the type of players that they want, the type of players they go after. So the Eagles are always going to pride themselves on their O-line, D-line. Right now they got Jalen Hurts. That's a very athletic quarterback, much stronger quarterback than what Brock Purdy was. Like Jalen Hurts is that. Jalen Hurts right now, the question will be where his knee's at after that injury he sustained against the Rams. I thought he lacked a lot of explosiveness in the game against the Commanders. We'll see where he's at with 2 weeks rest. And it was funny because in that previous Super Bowl, his throwing shoulder and arm was messed up, and he threw as good as he could. But there was some where the Chiefs specifically tested it to see if he could get there, and time or two he could, but then, as the game wore on, I think he felt it a lot more and had to make some choices along that way. But I mean, look, the difference this time around is Barkley is one of the best running backs in the league. That's why I had him on my free agency list for the Chiefs to potentially sign, because he was a dynamic, explosive running back that if he could stay healthy would really do wonders for any team that had a good quarterback. So the Eagles were the ones that were able to get him. And without Barkley, I don't think they'd be in the Super Bowl right now. Just like without the Bills trading for Amari Cooper, I don't think the Bills would have been the AFC Championship, because they just weren't. Amari Cooper forced defenses to play a different way than what they were, and that's kind of that. But no, I think the Eagles are a better team than the 49ers were last year, personally.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with the assessment. I just think that Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy. I mean, injury might change that a little bit, but I think I would take Hurts over Brock Purdy if I were starting a team, building one. And Saquon Barkley's playing better than any running back has maybe in the last quarter century. I mean, that's just how well he's playing. So even as good as Christian McCaffrey was last year, and he had a pretty good game against the Chiefs, Saquon Barkley's just playing better right now. And yeah, you're right about Hurts in his arm, because he did not have enough mustard on the Hail Mary. That was the injury, but we'll see how the knee goes.
Yep.
Chris, this is probably more a question for you, Nick. I don't know if are you playing, anybody over there planning on doing a story about Big Charlie's?
If we were or weren't, I would have no comment on it because I'm not going to help competitors by broadcasting anything publicly about what our strategy is.
There you go. I guess that's as good an answer as anything, Chris. You know, I mean, maybe we just gave the story idea to somebody out there. So I'm not, because I'm not going to Philadelphia, but there might be some people in town who are going to Philadelphia for some stories, and I would imagine. I don't know how, if you are Chiefs related and you go to Philadelphia and you don't go to Big Charlie's. I mean, we'll find out. Pano, stop Barkley and Chiefs win. Hit him hard and often in the legs, not in a dirty way, but when you flatten the tires on a speeding car. The car can't run. Your thoughts? There you go. Can you put one of those strips out there, Nick, that, that flatten the tires and front of Saquon Barkley, or do a pit maneuver on him?
A lot of the Eagles' offense is dependent on Barkley doing well and having a successful day. That is the number one person that they're going to have to be mindful of. The second most important person they got to be mindful of is A.J. Brown. Like those two, those are what make that Eagles offense go. Dallas Goedert's a talented player. Devontae Smith's a good receiver, but those two guys are what make that Eagles engine go on offense.
And as Joe Cullen, Steve Spagnuolo will always say, kill the engine. You got to stop the running game. If they can find a way to stop Saquon Barkley, Chiefs are going to win this game. I mean, that's the simplest way to go about it. Easier said than done, but that's how you go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, Chiefs Super Bowl enthusiast Nick Jacobs is absolutely just although Infinite Chief with the Chief Pete enthusiast. Even though you got Chief Fecta, Nick, Chief Pete is not too bad either.
Matt, they haven't won anything yet, okay? Except technically an AFC championship. But they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. So
they have not, but
simmer down.
Jimmy's. How about Nico Bermejio? Love it for that guy. Yet another example of this locker room. I'm a huge Nico Bermejio fan. I got sold last year, Nick, and he's just continued to impress me. It has been knowing what that kid has been through between the shoulder injury last year and spending all year on injured reserve, and then coming so close to maybe making the roster this year, getting sent to the practice squad, but still fighting, and now on the 53 for a Super Bowl team and making contributions. That's a great story.
I'm just trying to see where you're at in terms of question.
That was from 712.
712, okay.
Yes.
All right. I got one you'll have to go to quickly, and then we'll jump back there. Look, with Nico, he's an aggressive, determined returner, and that's where he's going to make his money right now. So he needs to keep doing that and keep giving the Chiefs a spark on special teams that gives them good field position. And then you got to, if you can do me a solid, go to 745 to Wes Peary, the weatherman.
Hey, Wes.
41.
Wes Perry, love it.
In the comment section, how about you put what the weather's going to be this week, buddy? Wes, what's the weather going to be like inside New Orleans Dome? Will it be nice?
Exactly. I mean, I kind of need to know what it's going to be like Monday through Sunday next week, Wes.
Yeah, Wes.
I need to know what's
on Wes. I'm just waiting for Wes to pop back up in the comment section. I don't think he's going to.
So who is harder to stop, Nick?
Saquon. Oh, Wes just responded for us. I'll answer if it'll pop us. Yeah, Wes. Wes is watching right now. I know Wes. I know Wes on the weather report Sunday said I will get a Mother Nature car wash on Friday when it rains. But I already went to the car wash today, Wes. And it's got a rust inhibitor on it, so I paid extra for it. I don't know if it's going to inhibit the rust or not, but said it would. So I said, let's go. Okay, just like my enthusiasm for the Super Bowl. Let's go.
That's right.
Sound like Tom Brady. But yeah, Barkley's tougher to stop just because he's dynamic and has the speed. Derrick Henry's kind of a more wear you out over time thing. Like where he shines is in the fourth quarter after he's hit people a handful of times, tried to run people over, and they couldn't hit his thigh pads. Or they did enough and they're hurting and they make business decisions and say, I don't want to hit him anymore. It's been a long 4 quarters.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing. Yeah, that's the thing about Derrick Henry for sure. I mean he's a much more punishing runner, but Saquon, good luck getting him down.
I just love that Wes has got his 41 logo in the back.
Well done, Wes. Great question, and even better temperature for Sunday. Thanks.
That's
It's good
right.
to know. Pie Desert, Nick Bolton and Mike Pennell, legacy game incoming. Who do you think plays their best game as a Chief, and will it also be their last?
I don't know, because there's a lot of people that could have legacy games for this, and I think every player on that roster really wants to complete this three-peat. So I think they're going to be motivated and determined on that front. I think the Chiefs will give everything they have, no matter what the scoreboard shows at the end, because that's how bad they want this. I don't know. I don't. I mean, both of them they're going to need them to be physical in the run. Pennell's going to have a tough time against that offensive line. He's going to be taking on doubles, and just being able to hold up points is going to be so key for him. Chris is going to be disruptive in that backfield, so that'll all be interested. But who plays their best? The person I hope plays their best game as a Chief is Patrick Mahomes. Because if Patrick Mahomes is playing well, then things are going well. But in terms of last, unfortunately I think people don't think about it this week or next week, but just realize there are a handful of players that probably will be the last time you see them in Chiefs uniform, and that's going to be the last time you're going to see a lot of this roster together, with so many guys becoming pending free agents and can make money off of this Super Bowl game to really set themselves up for the rest of their life. There's a chance, I'll just say right now, there's a chance this may be Justin Reid's last game as a Chief. Might be Trey Smith's last game as a Chief, as much as a bummer it is to say. Could be Nick Bolton's last game as a Chief. Could be Mike Pennell's last game in the NFL in general. But I mean, there's a lot of players that, and Charles Omenihu, who knows, what's going to happen there, if he's going to want to go get a big payday. But Charles Omenihu is going to try to have a monster game so that he forces that payday, whether it's with the Chiefs or another NFL team. So there's a lot of guys that are going to be on the biggest stage possible to earn the most money possible on this Chiefs roster. So that's why I'm saying, one, if they complete the three-peat, any team can sell that player that they've been a part of that Chiefs culture. And we're bringing them in to help, try to create that culture here at XYZ team. So, yeah, this is a monster game for a lot of people if they want to get paid.
Yeah. And, and I'm not saying that there aren't some guys on the Philly team that fit into this category, and certainly Saquon does. But, and let's face it, I mean, you can't match the motivation for an NFL player of winning a Super Bowl. I mean, that's just off the charts. I mean, it's already at 110%. I get 110% is not possible, but we're just going to put it at 110%, Nick. Mm-hmm. But for guys that might be their last game with the franchise, especially in this situation, the Chiefs just have more of them. I mean, and I think those guys are going to be motivated. I mean, we've talked so much about DeAndre Hopkins and Kareem and Hollywood Brown, but when you add in Smith and Bolton and Pennell's and guys that might be their last game with the Chiefs, might be their last games in the NFL, their first time to win a ring. I mean, the Chiefs have more of them. So, yeah. I mean, I just do feel like that can be a factor, and absolutely be a factor.
Yeah, because for the Eagles, the biggest name they're going to have that could make a payday off this is Zach Bond. He could get a huge payday off this because he's had a really great year as a linebacker, and he'll hit free agency. Mekhi Becton he's going to get paid either way out of this. Josh Sweat, probably not. Milton Williams, doubt it. And then you just kind of go down this list. Could be probably going to be Brandon Graham's last game in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of big names. But then if you go to the Chiefs side of it and pop that up, I'm going to have to refresh this because it's being difficult. Go to the free agency aspect of it. Just for the Chiefs, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Reid, Charles Omenihu, Marquise Brown, DJ Humphries, Joshua Uche, Tershawn Wharton, Carson Wentz, Derek Nottie, Justin Watson, Samaje Perine, Nick Bolton, James Winchester, Mike Pennell, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kareem Hunt, McCole Hardman, Malik Herring is RFA, Jody Fortson on IR, so there's not much he can do about it. Trey Smith is another big one. And there's other guys on this list that are restricted free agents or exclusive rights free agents, but I just named off a handful of people that are either starters or depth players that, like this is kind of how they all collectively have that last that last ride together as a football team, because the Chiefs only got $11.5 million in team cap space right now, and they'll have to make some adjustments in the offseason. But for right now, I mean, that's there's not a lot of money that can go around at this moment, and to be able to sign every single one of those guys, it'd have to be under that cap hit would be vet minimum. So, and they're all better than that. And
I can see a crazy scenario. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on, sorry. And for Darren Meyer, who's responding right now, he's talking about Matt Araiza, but Matt Araiza hasn't been for him. Matt Araiza is an exclusive rights free agent,
right?
So Darren, I mean, Araiza's only been in the league 1 year, so they can sign him to vet minimum for another exclusive right next year, another exclusive right the following year. Then he's a restricted free agent that they can do a tender. Then if they want to do an extension at some point, they could.
Yes, absolutely. It was occurring to me as you're going down the list, one thing, like Charles Omenihu ticks off a couple of those boxes, because not only is he a veteran who's been in the league but hasn't got his ring yet, but he is so motivated off of missing this game a year ago and getting injured in the AFC Championship game. So he ticks off a couple of different boxes.
Yeah, so we were 7-12, something like
that. Yes, we were. All right, I'm going back. Because my goodness, I can't read apparently.
Yeah, right. Doctor Who's your next one at 7-12.
Sharon, I wish I was staying at the Marriott on Canal. What'd you say, Nick? I'm sorry. I was
Doctor Who 7-12. That's your next one.
Oh, there you go. That sounds right. I was just a little bit ahead. Yes, this is yes. What do you think about the fumbled handoff between Pacheco and Mahomes? Was Pacheco not expecting that ball? Interested what you think, because Mahomes, we didn't.
It says Matt on the question.
But Doctor Who is at. Hey, it's for both of us. When he asked it, I was the only one here.
It says Matt. I'm just gonna enjoy my drink over here.
I would still be interested in knowing about this, but I don't think we're ever going to get to ask him about it this week. Certainly not this week, because we've got more things to ask Mahomes than about that when it didn't come up post game. Isaiah Pacheco did not look like a guy who was expecting the football, so I don't think it was him. I mean, he was not expecting the ball. I'm not entirely sure whose fault that was. I don't know if it was he wasn't expecting it. I don't know if it was Mahomes, it was an RPO and Mahomes changed his mind at the wrong time. I mean, it looked like to me, Nick, that the window to hand off the ball had gone, and Pacheco was like, okay, I'm not getting this ball. I'm going in the fake mode here and going my way. And maybe Mahomes just tried to pull it back. I know there's also a theory that maybe the ball got caught kind of on Pacheco a little bit. Maybe that's what nudged it. What do you think?
So this is the risk you run with RPO sometimes. If we just call run play, player knows they're getting the ball. There's no mystery. There's the ball in my hand. There's the rock. Clamp down on it. Let's go. Let's run into some people's faces. That's what it's about. So then Pacheco can, run really fast, stomp real fast like he's driving a Flintstones car, and then run into some people and try to get a first down. So, but whenever you're watching the replay at the mesh point there, the way the ball just drops, part of me thinks a lot of me believes Mahomes was keeping it there for Pacheco to clamp down on it and take off running. But I think Pacheco thought Mahomes was going to keep it. And so the way the football drops, it just drops right there. Because if Mahomes is pulling it out and then Pacheco, knocks it, it's going to float back. It's going to go back. If Mahomes is planning to keep it, the ball, and it messes up, like I said, it's going to flip back that way. But for it to kind of just drop flat down the way it did made me believe that Mahomes was waiting on Pacheco to take it, or Mahomes is still reading, and then just somewhere along the way, the he thought Pacheco had it, and then when he didn't, and Mahomes is starting to sell his fake. He's like, uh-oh. Then he tries to hop on the ball. So, but the Chiefs were trying the RPO stuff early because they just wanted to keep the Bills on their toes. That's what they were wanting to do in those first two series. And part of the problem you have with RPO sometimes is that offensive linemen take off. Some may get down the field. And when Mahomes throws a pass, they can call an eligible downfield. So you leave some uncertainty and doubt. So then everybody has to sell along O-line and running back what they were doing. And then receivers have to run their routes. And it's a time thing to where it's got to be boom, boom. So you avoid penalties and you avoid fumbles, stuff like that. So it just felt like between the two of them, they were caught in no man's land. And the ball dropped and it got turned over. And thankfully, they were able to overcome it. Because if they didn't, that would have been the play everybody pointed to and said, that's the first reason the Chiefs lost the game. And then who knows what else would have happened to be in 2, 3, and 4.
This is true. I have a very short answer to this one because it is lightning round. Looking back from Chris, how much of an impact did the Reid accident have on the Chiefs as they prepared for the Super Bowl that season? My answer is still going to be it did not affect that loss whatsoever. The Chiefs would lose this week, Nick, if they did not have Joe Thuney, Trey Smith, and Jawan Taylor, which is essentially what that team was missing that day in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm not touching the question of the 50-foot pole, but thank you for asking.
How much of an advantage does Andy have with doing this 2-week schedule for the 5th time in last 7 years? I think it's a huge advantage, Nick. I mean, for just the team in general, not just even Andy, but this entire team. I mean, they got too many guys who've been through this before.
Yeah, like this is the thing. This is there are more than 20 guys on this roster, on a 53-man roster. And probably more than half the guys that have played on this team have been in this moment before. The buildup of this moment and the moment itself. And for the guys that have been a part of 2 of these 3 Super Bowls, this is just the part of the end of the year for them. They're going on their 3rd time in a row, and they're like, oh, yeah, no, okay, so this is, football's getting ready to wrap up now. Got the media night coming up on Monday. Then you got the media throughout the week. Okay. And this is just a part of their season. So like for them, this is normal at this point, the 3rd time around. So there's going to be a lot of guys on the Eagles that weren't a part of and I'm going to look it up after we get done. There's a lot of guys on the Eagles that this is going to be new to them. This is going to be a new moment. I mean, for Saquon Barkley, it's going to be new. Never been to Super Bowl. Has no idea. That's going to be big for him. Jalen Hurts is going to know. AJ Brown's AJ Brown's going to know. Obviously, Dallas Goedert is going to know. Most of that Eagles offensive line is going to know. But there's going to be guys on this team that just aren't ready for what the moment will be, and just kind of the jitters they'll have in the high pressure situations. And it'll get to some of them a little bit early, and then they'll calm down. And for others, it might just be big, a pretty big stage for them the entire time. And then the other part of it is some of those guys haven't been in it before. How long that halftime is going to be? That's going to be they're not going to be familiar with that, and some of those guys may feel like they got cold. Like like a team went out there and did a 20-minute drive on offense, and then they'll go out there, warm back up and everything. So it's going to be a little bit overwhelming for some of those guys on that haven't experienced it before, and it'll have an impact. But for somebody like Andy Reid, for a lot of that Chiefs coaching staff, they're used to it at this point, and that's what's so crazy to say about it. Like this is normal.
Yeah, and I do think it's a huge advantage that you have a coach that has been through it as many times as Andy has, and it's the 2nd time for Nick Sirianni, and Nick is still a young coach.
I mean, think about it. Andy's been through it. He's been through it in every decade.
Oh yeah, I mean we don't even
With the
count the
Packers?
times of just as a head coach, but the times
Twice
with the
with the
Packers.
Packers. Then in the early 2000s with the Eagles. Then technically with the Chiefs in 2019. So we've already accounted for 90s, early 2000s, the 2010s range. Now we're in 2022, 2020, 2022, 2023, 2024. That's crazy. Like, he's been to Super Bowl in almost every decade since the 90s.
And I mean, he's given it away. I mean, he's given this away, and he probably learned it from Mike Holmgren, probably. But I don't think that he's given away. I don't think he's given away the whole package, which is that, I mean, when this team gets on the plane to go to New Orleans, they're ready to play the game. They would not need another practice. And I'm pretty sure that's not the case in every single Super Bowl that they've played. I imagine every opponent that they've have played against has gone to, and I know that because, remember, the San Francisco 49ers didn't even know about overtime, Nick. Didn't even cover that. They had 2 weeks. They didn't cover that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't tell me that, because Andy Reid, his team's going to know everything they need to know by the time they get on that plane. Any practice that they do is simply fine-tuning and refreshing. It is not anything about getting ready to play the game. It is just about maintaining the engine. All right, I am not going to roast Jackie for this because these are yes or no questions, Nick, for both of us. Yeah, quickness to know if these free agents will be back with the Chiefs in 2025. Trey Smith.
I'm not going to ruin our future podcast where we're going to focus on this.
Okay, so that's Nick's way of saying 2 no's. Nick Bolton.
I'm not going to ruin anything on that takes away from a future 40-minute podcast that we do on all this.
It's probably also 2 no's. Justin Reid.
Do you want me to just keep saying the same thing over and over again?
I thought that there might be an answer that you're going to. I'm like, you're just taking the fifth on every single question. Is there a question that you will not take the fifth on?
What are you talking about?
Is there one of these that you would give a yes or a no to?
I'm not giving away our content 3 weeks early.
Well, fine, Nick.
You can do whatever you want, man, but the people are going to have to wait for that after the Super Bowl's over for our Team Needs podcast. Would you resign?
I didn't roast you, Jackie, but clearly Nick just did. So
I didn't roast him. I just told him I'm not answering it. Roasting him would be saying something rude and hateful to him, and I would not do that to Jackie Moon, despite some of the comments he makes on our YouTube pages.
This came up a lot, and I'm going to give my answer, Nick.
Yeah, Matt.
Might be controversial.
Light that candle.
I guess you know what my answer is going to be. Is Hopkins hurt? Why the low snap count?
I'll be right back.
Okay. Nick is probably wanting to distance himself from my answer here. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that DeAndre Hopkins came in midseason and is trying to pick up the most difficult playbook in the NFL in a very, very, very short period of time. There's just simply no way that he has the depth of knowledge of the playbook that anybody else that has been on this team has. Everybody, I mean, the only other really least experienced person in this offense from a wide receiver standpoint is Hollywood Brown. And Hollywood Brown had an entire offseason. He had most of training camp. When he was injured, he was still in team meetings. He still had a playbook. He still had all of that access. DeAndre Hopkins is coming in and picking up a brand new language, everything. There's just simply no way that he picks everything up. So I think the Chiefs still have him with just a limited portion. I mean, I think they've got a specific package for him and specific plays for him in specific spots, but there's simply no way that anyone, no matter how good they are, Hall of Famer or not, is going to come in and pick up all 3 positions on this offense with the time that he's had. So I think that it comes back to a lot of Andy Reid's philosophy. You don't put guys in a position that they're not, ready for, that they're not going to make plays. He does not want to put DeAndre Hopkins in the spots where he's not going to look good. And I don't think he's looked bad. I didn't put you up there in time for you to light the candle, Nick.
All right. Oh,
but that I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is hurt. I think it's that they are putting him in the best position to make plays, and that he has picked up as much of the playbook as he possibly can in this short a period of time.
I'm going to light this candle to cleanse myself of this question. This is a present my nieces got for me. It's a Casey Wolf candle.
It's a Casey Wolf candle.
The Casey Wolf candle.
It's like a Casey Wolf prayer candle.
So to Maddie, Adrian, and Mia that got me this for Christmas. I told them I would show it on the show at some point, and
that is amazing.
So they wanted to get their uncle a Casey Wolf candle. So I use it to cleanse myself of questions that I get too much. So
did you ask them about the other thing?
No, they're not the ones that would be about that.
Oh, okay.
Those are the little. Those
are the younger.
Yeah, it's the 5 and 6-year-old.
Okay.
All right, Matt.
That's still pretty awesome.
We've cleansed ourselves of the DeAndre Hopkins question. No, seriously though. I'm gonna make sure that's off. Didn't burn anything. You took the question away. I was gonna answer. No. Yeah, I think you've already answered most of it. Like, as I've told people on Twitter that have asked about it since the snap count thing, since I posted the snap count stuff, like they're going to use him in situational football spots. Like red zone, they're going to use him. That's where he can shine. In short yardage situations, that's where they'll use him. That's where he can shine. Part of it is Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster can run more of the overall routes and overall scheme and some of the blocking that they need on certain plays to get Xavier open or to set certain things up route combination wise. And that's not on DeAndre. It's just they're going to use DeAndre to isolate on some things and be able to convert some stuff because that's what he can do and that's what he's capable of. And as you've talked to him in the locker room and I've seen from our interviews with him and whenever he was at the podium last week, the guy is ecstatic to be in this moment. He doesn't care how many catches he has. He doesn't care how many snaps he has right now. He's so ecstatic to be a part of winning a playoff game, of winning an AFC championship and playing in a Super Bowl no matter what happens. That's why I asked Andy Reid about it, about for DeAndre and Kareem and those guys and what that moment, what it means to him as a head coach. When I asked Andy a couple of weeks ago, what does it mean to him as a head coach that he helped contribute? And he was a big part of one of those guys being on the team, but two, helping one of their dreams come true and for them to get to experience that moment whenever they got to be in a playoff game, win an AFC championship and all that stuff. I guarantee that means a lot to Andy. And like when I asked Andy last week about Kareem and just kind of that opportunity to be in an AFC championship game and just how glowingly Andy spoke about all those guys and how they work and how they go about things. So I think people are focused way too much on snap counts because you know what people aren't talking about? The fact with Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, the way they're using 2 tight end sets with Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, Justin Watson barely sees the field now. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Juju have taken over most of those snaps to where Justin Watson, we saw him on a 2-point conversion. That was kind of his big play. And we see him just a handful of times now because people were upset early in the year when he was getting 40, 50, 60 snaps. But now I don't hear a peep about it because he's barely playing because all the receivers that know this offense and playbook and can give them a wide variety are on the football field.
Absolutely. Bruna, do you expect any of the Chiefs players to attend NFL honors? I do not. It's just too much of a distraction. Even when Mahomes 2 years ago won NFL MVP, he did not attend. He accepted via video, pre-recorded video.
Nope.
So no, I don't think any of the Chiefs players, I mean, unless there's something extraordinary, they, have twisted the Chiefs arm to get Travis Kelce there or Patrick there for some sort of sketch or something. I don't know, but that's about the only reason I could possibly see them being there, but I don't think they will be.
Do they do the Man of the Year honor there?
They do the Man of the Year.
That would be the only thing.
If Kelce were to win Man of the Year,
that's the only thing I think would possibly happen.
That could possibly be the one possibility. But even then, they might even do recorded message if he were to win that.
Maybe.
How big of an impact is D-Hop having on Worthy? I did not see him being aggressive for back shoulder and contested catches. I tell you what, I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins had an influence on Worthy, but those 2 catches he's had the last week, those contested catches, I thought it was DeAndre catching the pass until I looked and saw who came up with the football.
I think DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster have had massive effects on Xavier Worthy. I think so much of what his game has become this year is being able to watch those guys, learn from those guys, and model after those guys. So those guys are going to be as big for his career as Alex Smith was for Patrick Mahomes. So I hope people appreciate what all 3 of those guys brought to the table this year to help Xavier and potentially help Nico Remigio, and maybe Justin Ross picked up some things along the way. And so each of those guys, hopefully, were able to take a lot from having those 3 around this year.
There you go. Doctor Who, if Tooney is awesome during the Super Bowl, do the Chiefs keep him at left tackle next year?
No.
I mean, he is under contract, Nick, and his cap number would be equivalent to a left tackle.
That's like worst case scenario if you have to do that.
I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you saw it, but Andy Reid appeared with Bill Belichick this week.
Yeah, on Let's Go podcast.
Let's Go, yeah. And I mean, the conversation that they had about Joe Tooney was kind of interesting. I mean, because both of them were pretty much of the, you move Joe Tooney to left tackle if you absolutely have to, and that's only why you move Joe Tooney to left tackle. So, yeah, I'm with Nick here. I don't think that they would keep him for the full season. There's some decisions to still be made cap-wise, but yeah, I don't think that would be. Oh, there's a good question. Nick, if you were a pony, what would your name be?
I don't know. It would be up to my owner to decide.
Well, then, if you had a pony, what would you name it?
Mr. Biscuits. No, I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. But if you want to know what I've named my 2 previous pets, I named my hamster Garfield. I was also 5 at the time.
Okay. You know Garfield's a cat.
So, Matt, you're insulting 5-year-old Nick right now.
I want you to know that when I think I was 4 or 5, I did name a dog Doorbell.
Oh, that's fun. And did you see me make fun of you or judge you?
No, but you were entitled to.
Yeah, I wasn't going to because I'm respectful of it.
Do you want to know why I named a dog Doorbell?
Mm.
It was a stray, and we discovered it because he rang the doorbell. Rang the doorbell, and there was, and he was literally, when we opened, I went to the door, the dog was literally pawing at the side of the house, ringing the doorbell.
Oh, the dog. Okay,
yes, the dog was ringing the doorbell.
Okay, yeah, dog can do that. The cat, that's more confusing.
Yeah, no, it would be really confusing if a hamster was ringing the doorbell.
Don't worry, my hamster Garfield used to hide out in my Ghostbusters little house that I had back in the day when I was a kid. So yeah, I named Garfield.
And the other?
My dog, my Belgian Malinois that I had, we named him Dino, or I named him Dino from the Flintstones.
I was going to say Flintstones. There you go.
And then our 3 horses were named Kazan. Rona was already her name. She was a strawberry roan. And then the pony's name was Nugget. He's a fast little guy.
Nugget's a good name for a pony. Not going to lie.
Fast little fella.
Not going to lie.
There you go. Name. And in case any hackers thinking of it, I don't use any of those on any of my security codes. So I felt comfortable saying that.
I'm surprised that none of them asked any questions on Sunday Sound Off.
What?
You're gonna love this question. I'm only asking it because I wanted to annoy you.
I have no idea how the offensive tackle class looks, and do not care right now.
Yeah, Pano, we're going to answer this question later, but it won't be to now because Nick knows more about the draft than I do. But all I would say is take the guy from Mizzou.
That is a middle March, April question, and it is January 28th.
Okay, we're moving now. We're
You're like, we're moving now. It's 8:18, and you're like, we're moving.
Oh, okay. Zulu's getting way ahead of time right here. Can't talk about a 4-peat until you get a 3-peat in the barn. That you can't. No, you got the hay. Yeah, you have to get the hay in the barn, Nick.
Yeah, worry about win this one, then go from there. Like win this one, go from there.
Cody, should the Chiefs keep riding Kareem? Yes.
For this game, sure.
Run him as much as you want. There's no tomorrow.
No.
Because the Eagles are going to do the same thing with Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
Who does the Corey? Who does the defense focus on? Barkley, Brown, keep Hurts in the pocket?
I'm telling you, dude. I don't think Hurts knee's in a good spot after that game. Like the way he was running, he didn't look as explosive. He really didn't. And I don't know if that knee's going to get any better with 2 weeks rest or not. We'll find out. But I think they did a lot of dumb things to put him at risk in that football game that they didn't have to. But like I said earlier, Barkley's the number one key to that offense being two-dimensional. That's the first thing you got to account for on every single play. And that's why I wouldn't if it's a passing down, don't have a linebacker on him. You're going to need a safety on him or a corner. I don't care, but he's going to be one of their biggest weapons. And A.J. Brown, boy, you better put Jaylen Watson or Trent McDuffie on him. And because A.J. Brown's insane. And him and Marcus Lattimore got into it in that NFC Championship game and had a little battle royale. But, yeah, A.J. Brown's a very talented receiver. And Smith's a talented receiver too. So Chiefs are going to have their work cut out for them with that Eagles offense.
They will. And, I mean, I have some concerns, Nick, if only because, I mean, the Chiefs, they struggled against Cook. And had Buffalo stuck to giving Cook the football, that might have been a different outcome.
Yep.
I mean, as a Chiefs fan, you should absolutely be saying, God bless the Bills for not sticking with Cook.
Yes.
I mean, does this turn out differently if you put your focus in a different place? Because the Chiefs are going to be keying on Barkley in a way that they were not keying on Cook. But and this is where I think it's interesting. This will probably be my only long answer during lightning round, Nick. My last one.
I doubt it.
I mean, the Chiefs defense might be better equipped because of the point that you make about putting a safety on Barkley, because they have been playing more 4 safety packages in the last quarter of the season and the postseason than all year long. Because this is kind of, to me, a little bit maybe like 2019. This wasn't a year where, it took an entire year for, Steve Spagnuolo to kind of figure out what he had defensively in the best lineup. But it has kind of taken a full season to figure out what their best secondary is. Because right now their best secondary is with their best defense is with 4 safeties out there, and not just in third down situations. I mean, and you look at the numbers. I mean, they're playing Jaden Hicks is a ridiculous amount because they're confident with Jaden Hicks. They love Chamari Connor in the slot. I mean, that's their best lineup is, 4 safeties and 2 corners. Those are their 6 best defensive backs, and is probably their best lineup against the Eagles because like you said, you've got to put a safety. And if Jaden Hicks hitting Saquon Barkley, I'd feel okay about that.
Yeah, look, they got a tough challenge for them. Guess what? They got 2 weeks to figure it out.
There you go.
Steve Spagnuolo will put them in the best situation possible. And with 2 weeks to do it, he'll really put them in the best situation possible. The thing I need people to remember, Jalen Hurts is not the same quarterback that Josh Allen is. Josh Allen's on a whole different level. Chiefs had to defend a completely different way against the Bills than what they're going to have to defend against the Eagles. With the Eagles, you're going to have to show that Eagles offensive line with Jeff Stoutland some stuff that you didn't show them in the last Super Bowl. And you're going to have to show them some stuff that they haven't seen yet about how you're going to defend their run game. And then you're going to have to get physical with Brown, get physical with Smith. And at times they're probably going to have to force Jalen Hurts to test out that knee. So there's some blitzes they're going to have to bring from time to time on down and distance to get him on the move and to make him test out that knee and see if it aggravates something and kind of keep him from getting into a rhythm. So there's a lot they're going to have to do, but they got 2 weeks to figure it the heck out.
There you go. Super chat from Dez. Eagles have the best defense KC has played this year, Nick?
Let me go back and look at the Chiefs schedule.
I mean, I think I'd still take the Ravens in ways. Late Ravens, well, hard to say. Let's see. Here's the problem: the Ravens' defense was so good against playoff teams and so bad against non-playoff teams that it's almost impossible to really. I mean, if you look at the Ravens' numbers defensively, you'd say they weren't a very good defense this year. They were really, really good against playoff teams.
So the Broncos had one of the better defenses the Chiefs played this year. Broncos arguably had one of the best defenses the Chiefs played this year. Chargers had a good secondary. The Browns had a good front, but they didn't have all the pieces together because their corners were hurt at that point. The Texans may be the best defense the Chiefs have played this year, collectively, especially in that divisional round. So where the Eagles rank in terms of that, I won't know until I end up watching every single one of their games. And here's the beautiful thing. I've got a whole week and a half to do it. So I'm going to watch a couple games each night. And that's the plan, even though everybody wants me to have the answers within 2 days of knowing who the opponent is. It's not going to work out that way. Sorry. So, I'm going to be curious to watch how the Eagles. So one of the games where I watched tonight is I'm going to watch how the Eagles did against the Ravens. I'm going to watch how the Eagles did against the Steelers. And for another question down the road here, I'll let for Andrew when he asked about how did the Chiefs stop Barkley. Well, you got to go back and look at who put Barkley in check. So the Pittsburgh Steelers on December 15th held him to 65 yards. The Dallas Cowboys on November 10th held him to 64, but the Cowboys lost 34-6. So that's why they held him. They weren't able to hold him in check because Eagles were able to score other ways. Against Cleveland, they won 20-16. He only had 47 yards. Against Tampa, they lost. He had 84. So you look at where they didn't have success, and you kind of start to look at why that happened. What did they do as a defense? And then you see what you have in the playbook to be able to implement in that way, given that you have this much tape. So for somebody like Barkley, especially that first month when you're looking at September, you watch those games, those are the staples of their offense. That's the foundation of what they build. So when you look back at those teams, you're seeing what they built in those first four. Then when you get past their bye week, you start to see them add more pieces on, get a little bit more creative. Then when you take their playoff games, you're seeing their best plays because they don't know if their season's going to end or not. So then you take different wide varieties of what they do throughout the season and you piece those together. But then you have coaches on staff that are going to look through what do the Eagles do on every 1st and 5, or what do after a penalty? What do they do every 1st and 10? What formations are they in? What do they like to run? Is there a stat where down the road we find out about Barkley runs to the right when they're in 1st and 10 on a right hash 80% of the time? Okay, that's a tendency. So then you prepare for that tendency, but what could they do off that tendency that you need to be prepared for? They got 2 weeks to figure it out. Chiefs coaching staff's one of the best at doing it, and they're one of the better teams at adjusting to stuff. So again, they'll figure it out as best they can.
Interesting. They rushed for 229 yards, 228 yards, and 211 yards in 3 games against the Commanders. And they actually lost one of those games. I mean, to a degree, I'm sure if you can stop Barkley. I do think that this game's going to be probably 1st to 35 wins. That's what Brett Veach said about Buffalo, and I think he might be right. If he said it about Philadelphia, I think they might be right about that one. I mean, if you look at just the 3 games that the Eagles lost this year, he wasn't stopping Barkley. He was scoring a lot of points and forcing the Eagles to make turnovers. You do those 2 things, you can beat the Eagles, but you got to protect the football yourself, and you got to score a bunch of points. What a wonderful little strategy. Easier to say than done. Once again,
Well, at the end of the day, the Chiefs are what the Chiefs coaching staff has going for it that a lot of national media will never understand is the Chiefs coaching staff knows how to adjust to what's going on in that moment and in that game. So whatever the game plan was, they don't have to stick by it. They don't have to keep maintaining it. They don't have to keep doing it. They will adjust accordingly, and they can go series by series and be okay. They're not worried. They're not panicked. There's a lot of other teams in the league that'll get worried or panicked if it's not going the way they expect.
Round Rock, who is replacing Adam Teicher, I don't know, but Adam's going to be around for a little while longer, so he might be covering his last games, but he'll be around for a little bit longer. So you get to enjoy Adam for a little bit more. Don't enjoy it while you can, because Adam's a Hall of Famer,
and ESPN will be making that decision, not Matt Derrick or I. They're not consulting.
No, that's true. I have not yet been consulted. No.
Nope.
Just to mix it up, did Mike Dana play his best game of the year against the Bills? Any other non-star guys stick out to you in the Bills game?
I put all the plays that impressed me on my Twitter timelines. You can go find them there.
That's a tricky question, Nick.
What?
I mean, in general, just to give it a clue. I mean, will he be happy with what he sees on your Twitter timeline?
I don't know. I hope so. Most of them are positive Chiefs plays that helped him win the AFC Championship and sent him to another Super Bowl.
Hey, he did he didn't get targeted, but he did a great job in coverage on that final 4th and 5.
Who?
Mike Dana.
No. Well, good job.
Paul, should the COVID season Super Bowl count against Mahomes? It was such a weird season. He's never lost a Super Bowl in a normal Super Bowl appearance. Thoughts? Sure, it counts. I mean, because they made it. They were the best team in the NFL that year. They lost the Super Bowl because both their tackles were hurt. So don't get too greedy with trying to put asterisks or anything on it like this. Just, enjoy it. Enjoy what you have.
Yep.
Appearing in the Super Bowl is still very, very cool.
Yep.
Because I remember a time when I would have loved to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think Pacheco will stay with the Chiefs after next year? I personally love the energy he brings, but he doesn't necessarily have the same vision as Kareem. I don't know, Nick. I mean, the Chiefs don't. I mean, they kept Clyde an extra year, but he didn't really have a market. So I don't know. I think it's probably going to. I mean, the Chiefs, if they're like a lot of teams, I mean, just don't sign running backs to long-term deals, and the Chiefs have not done that for a while. So until they do, I'm going to assume that they will not.
We'll see what Pacheco does next year in September of 2025. But it is January 28th, and the Chiefs are going for a three-peat. So this is the less than 2 weeks from now. We'll find out what Pacheco does on that football field, and if he gives you more clarity for your question.
I missed this question earlier, so I have to go back to it because I'm trying to figure it out. Is Spags the Darth Vader to Andy's Yoda, or are they more like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, or sort of the Emperor to Princess Leia? I mean, Spags and Andy, I don't know if I can really go quite Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but I could go with, I could go with Andy as the Emperor and Spags as Darth Vader.
Man, I barely know 4 of those names on there. I don't know their connections, and I don't know any of them.
I have my black hoodie on today, so I can go all Darth Matt here. You don't know the power of the dark side of the Force.
I don't, because I haven't watched all the movies.
That was my one moment there. There you go. Travis said this is the last game of the Zero. Was the last game as a player? Yes or no? No, he has not said that. So
did not say that.
Has not said that. Let's see what we got here. Lightning round.
Oh man.
and we and then I go to a complicated question from Alex. Guys, what makes the team so humble all the time compared to other teams' players talking so much before the game is played? I feel like when you talk smack beforehand, it's bad luck. I mean, to play devil's advocate, there have been some times that this team has, talked some smack and it was bad luck because Justin Reid did that and his first year with the Chiefs and pretty much got slapped around by, I think, probably his coaches and the Cincinnati Bengals.
So a lot of this starts with Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and guys who have been here for a while. All learned to kind of fall in line about what's important. And Andy Reid set this culture a long time ago. The Chiefs coaching staff does a good job of implementing it, and they get you to buy into the fact that when you walk into that building, and see, Matt, this is what you and I don't know because we don't have access to that part of it. But when you, for people that don't get to, when you walk into the lobby of the Chiefs facility, they have all the Super Bowl trophies, all the AFC championships, whether they're replicas or not, I don't know because they're magically both at the Chiefs Hall of Honor at the same time. And then they have the Super Bowl MVP, footballs, which I would love to get a replica of that. That'd be so awesome. But they have all those together. And so we see them when we get to walk into the locker room. And if I were the Chiefs, I would have another one of those when players have to walk in for each day of work to see a reminder of what they're doing here, why they're here, and that, oh, hey, this franchise knows how to get this done. And I would have photos up when they walk in, too, throughout that building. And the Chiefs do in spots, but I don't know because you and I don't walk into the players' lounge back there and some of the other parts that they have. I would love to see the photos of some of those key moments to remind people that this is why you're here. This organization brought you here to be a part of those future moments. So maybe you can be up on the wall. And then what I would have at the end of the tunnel, or not the tunnel, but the end of the hallway that players are going to take to go to the practice field or the weight room, I would have one empty, and it has written in the where the photo would be, this could become your moment. But you have a wall that has that along the way of the Super Bowls and the AFC championships and the big moments and them holding up the trophies and all that. And then you have the trophies and everything in that spot. And then you have that. Boom. That makes the ultimate statement to me. No matter what they spend on a locker room or chair. At the end of the day, the reason you're here is for that.
Those chairs are nice, though, Nick. I mean,
yeah, they are.
And the cafeteria, primo as well.
Yeah, they upgraded the heck out of that. I mean, yes. You and I walked through that. They upgraded the heck out of it. They listened to their players' report cards, and they updated it. So, yeah. For some reason, they won't let us eat there. It's, I mean, the Chiefs, we could all collectively figure that out together.
I know.
I would pay for it. Okay.
It's pretty good food, too. So.
Yeah, I know. I saw how big those cheeseburgers were that Coach Reid left for Adam that day.
The cheeseburger bar.
Not just for Adam, but for the entire KC media. But
the guacamole was fire.
So I know you get a lot of that. You were pretty amped up about that. But
I was pretty excited about the guacamole.
Those cheeseburgers were massive. Those were bigger than the disc that you would use to shoot with a shotgun. Bigger than those.
I mean, I think they were at least third pounders. They were not quarter pounders.
They were like the Mondo burgers that you would see in Keenan and Kel's movie. Good Burger. Good Burger. That was the movie. Yes. But anyway, enough about all that. The Chiefs just have a way that they approach things, and the guys, I think, more so than I think they always did, but Andy just has a way that he goes about things, and everybody believes in what Andy's does, what Andy's about, what that organization sells, what that organization's mantra is, and all those things. And I think that's why you see so many players that typically fall in line to be respectful. Now, do you occasionally see tweets from time to time that you're like, that's not normally in line? Yes. But for the most part, those get corrected, and then you don't have to worry about them.
And here's my quick observation a little bit is that, I mean, one of the fastest ways into Andy Reid's doghouse is to trash talk publicly. I mean,
not good.
there is no doubt that if you say something out of line, Andy Reid's going to know about it, and you are going to get a call to the principal's office. And nobody, I mean, you've heard Travis and Patrick talk about it on Travis's podcast about getting the look from Andy Reid. You do not want to get that look.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen variations of that look, and I don't want that look. So, yeah. But two, I don't think he cares what you say on the field as long as you don't get flagged for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because in his philosophy of, let your personality show, Chris Jones, Travis, Patrick, they can talk all the trash that they want as long as they don't get flagged for it. So, I mean, you saw Patrick with Max Crosby and waking up the wrong gentleman. I mean, they could say anything they want to on the field, like I said, as long as they don't get flagged, and that's probably the better strategy to go. Darren, is there a new strategy taking shape and jumping off sides on an extra point early in the game to bait the other team into going for two? I don't know if that's necessarily a strategy, but you know what, Darren? I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I'm an old school guy on this, but I also like to do math. And I will continue to get in arguments with analytics people because I think that the analytics people, Nick, still believe that the success rate for 2-point conversions in the NFL is 60%. It has dropped to 40% this year.
Oh, wow.
And in case you haven't done math,
I don't like
yeah. Let's just say that if you go 40% on 2-point conversions, that's not a good rate when you could be going 95% on 1-point conversions. So I don't know if it's a strategy, Darren, but I love it when teams go for two because the odds are just not in their favor, anymore, especially the more that they do it. You show your good plays, you got nothing else to run later on. And the Bills were a pretty good example. The Bills had one play and the Chiefs knew what it was because the Chiefs were so confident they were going to stop it. They apparently told CBS in the production meeting what Josh Allen's flaw was as far as going to the left. So
yeah, I was kind of surprised that they told them because, man, you knew CBS was gonna.
After you mentioned that to me, Nick, I couldn't believe that not only did the CBS say it, but no one apparently told McDermott and Brady and Josh that the Chiefs knew because he still kept going left.
I know. Well, it's just like, I'm like, you're telling me there's not a family member of a Bills person that could contact the front office, let them know, and figure out a way to relay that, or let an assistant equipment manager know and send a post-it or something. Yeah. Hey, just so you know, I'm about ready to have some fun here. That's what I was doing on my phone. You'll find out.
I knew you were getting ready to do something.
Yeah, so. It's gonna be fun. I hope you enjoy it.
Alex, also, did you see Mahomes' meme he posted with Kermit sipping tea? He really hold on to what people say about him and uses it as fire. Yeah, I imagine that there's got to be times, Nick, that Patrick has done things on the field in reference to something that somebody said about him that we just all didn't catch. I mean, Patrick uses every single thing that he can find to fuel him. And I mean, I think you got to love it about him. I mean, if he can get that passionate about stuff and get fired up, more power to him.
Yeah.
Yep. Ooh, Andrew, if you're the Bills, where do you go from here? What needs to change?
That one is a fun one I can answer for you after I change the background. Matt, if you'd like to go first. Guys, just so you know, I'm going to change the background 3 times just because I want to.
Okay.
And I'll see which ones we like the best, and we'll use those for the future.
There you go.
I'm going to end on a big finish one, though.
I like it. Okay. I mean, I kind of laid out what I think that the Bills need to change earlier, which is just that they need to do their own self-scouting. They need to realize those kinds of things. They need to realize that Josh Allen goes left. They need to not do what they do when it comes to be the postseason. They've got to defy expectations. They can't do the same things that they do during the regular season. They've got to have surprises. They've got to have looks that they have not shown before, offensively and defensively. I mean, like I said earlier, Buffalo did nothing to surprise Kansas City in that game, and the Chiefs did surprise Buffalo repeatedly. And when the Chiefs surprised them, they won those plays. and that was the ball game. I mean, Mahomes out of the diamond formation, running for a touchdown. That's fire there, Nick. There you go.
So for people that we were talking about earlier, this is the trophy case that the Chiefs have right out in their lobby. And I'm going to roll out of the way so you can see it. This is me rolling.
Yes.
So those are the MVPs at the bottom. Those were the Lamar Hunt trophies. And then the 4 Super Bowls in their franchise history.
Wonder where the other Super Bowl MVP is.
I don't know, Matt. Maybe it's at Patrick's house.
Actually, it might be at Patrick's
maybe they
house.
left it in Hall of Honor.
Might be at Patrick's house. That's a good call.
I'm gonna go back to the practice field.
So what would you do if you're the Bills, Nick?
All right, so yeah, here's the Bills' problems, and if they want to hire me as a consultant, too bad. You can't. But their offense is perfectly fine, but they do need an Xavier Worthy speed type receiver. So I have a fear this offseason, if Tyreek can force his way out of Miami, would he get a chance to get to Buffalo somehow? Because Tyreek's kind of the type of receiver that if Josh Allen has, defenses have to play him a lot differently. And I can see the Bills selling their soul for somebody like Tyreek to beat the Chiefs. Would the Dolphins do that trade? It'd be stupid, but it wouldn't stun me. So what Drew Rosenhaus and Tyreek do in the offseason to try to force his way out of Miami, that'll be interesting in itself.
It's intriguing.
That is, from an offense perspective, that's the biggest thing Buffalo's got. From a defensive perspective, they need everything. They need a much more physical front. The only thing they really got going for them is that Oliver, the defensive tackle, and Taylor Rupp at safety, who at Rapp at safety, because like those are kind of their cornerstones. And Taron Johnson probably. Like that's what they got. And then Milano gets hurt all the time. So the question becomes, like, are you going to get a healthy Milano as much as you want? If not, then you're going to have to start trying to figure out how to get a much better linebacking corp across the board. But first thing starts with pass rush. Like that's what they're going to need. That's what they got to build around. But you want to know what the sad thing is, Matt?
What's that?
The Bills are $6.9 million over the salary cap right now.
That's a problem.
That's a big problem. So
that's a problem.
Josh Allen accounts for $43 million of it. So they're going to
move some money around.
They can move $20.2 million of his signing bonus around. Various part of it. This will be interesting. This will be the year where they can finally decide if they want to move on from Von Miller and get $8.3 million back. They probably should. Von Miller, what he had in that tank is gone. So those are the first two things they have to do to be able to make the money work. And there's really not much that they can get rid of to. So yeah, they're really gonna have to invest heavily in speed on defense in the draft. Amari Cooper's contract voids. Mac Hollins' contract is gonna be gone. I don't know if they'll be able to get him back. And yeah, most of that defense for the most part, they just got a lot of contracts that void. So they're not really losing that much, other than Shane Buechele potentially as a restricted free agent. But yeah, for the Bills, they're gonna have to draft heavy on defense, get themselves a speed wide receiver vertically. Running game wise, they're good. O-line wise, they're gold. Don't do a thing with that O-line. Most of that receiving group is good overall too. You need to let Keon Coleman develop. You get Khalil Shakir. He's perfectly fine. You just got to find another vertical to replace Amari Cooper's spot to be more reliable for Josh Allen. You've already got the tight ends. So, your defense decides what you get vertical receiver and how much speed and athletic ability you add to that front four and that linebacking group. That's what's going to determine if you can make it back to an AFC championship or even a Super Bowl. And then you need your coaches. Basically, you have to get more talent to overcome some of your coaching staff's bonehead decisions that are going to happen. Not kidding you.
Well, there is that. So
right in the comment section, I want you guys to pick Which background should I stick with? I will
There
do
you
it
go.
based off what people put in the comment section. I am waiting for your call. Call now.
Call now. Oh, Paul, not that it matters, but do you believe Kincaid or Allen got the first down? I haven't seen much. Have I missed the conversation about whether Kincaid got a first down? I know. I mean,
it was the third down right before it. Some people felt like put the ball across the line.
I didn't think he got close. I mean, I thought Allen got closer, but I don't think Josh Allen got the first down. I mean, I thought it was pretty spot on. I mean, and I get. I mean, when I said this on the 41 is the mic. I was watching the play through my binoculars, and I thought from the moment the play was run, I did not think that he got there.
I'm sorry. Every time you tell me that, I just think of you with tiny little binoculars up in the press box looking down.
I mean, I have the binoculars right here, Nick. So
I believe you, Matt. I never doubted
you. It's not about belief here. It's about being able to put the visual image to This is a great podcast right there. Just hey, here's a guy bending over, getting some binoculars out of his backpack.
Matt, we all have our different ways we approach things.
So there you go, Nick. This is what it looks like.
It's exactly how I thought it looked. Nailed it.
Nailed it. But I also want to add, I cannot believe that people are getting on Kincaid for that 4th and 5 pass, because that was not a drop. That was an impossible play almost that he almost made. That was just, a prayer that he somehow had a chance to actually catch. Yeah. Comparing that to Mark Andrews drops the week before, it's kind of like comparing. I can't even say apples and oranges. It's almost like apples and Mars. It's not even on the same planet, Nick.
I just love how that's how you got to that. In terms of you could have been like like chocolate milk and vodka, but instead you went to a whole other planet.
What percentage chance do you give Humphreys?
You just inspired my next background.
Oh, there you go.
I hope you enjoy it.
My number, Nick, for a chance that Humphreys starts in the Super Bowl is 2%.
It's pretty low. I'll give it 10.
Oh, that's pretty high.
For me to give an actual percentage, you should be impressed.
I know. I did not think you were going to give a percentage. So that's AZ Chief. That's pretty.
You're welcome.
That's pretty impressive. Cody, given it's Fangio,
it's Matt's view from the stadium.
That is my view from the stadium.
I took this in the press box during the preseason game. The one random time I was up there.
There you go.
So, Matt, I'm coming to you live from the press box. No,
looking live. Yes.
You were looking. So, okay, all I've seen people say is trophies. Apparently, we got one practice field. We've got one practice field. No, but trophies won out.
Trophies are winning out.
3-1. Trophies it is. And we're back.
Trophies is just very appropriate for right now.
Dude,
so
I wish I had.
The practice is. I wish I had a good one.
I wish I had the money to build a trophy case like that. What cool.
We could do a GoFundMe.
No, I'm not going to make other people pay for my stuff. My problem.
That's lottery ticket money right there. That's when the lottery hits. Yep. There you go.
I don't know
I've been curious
about Matt. I didn't get my lottery tickets today at all, and I didn't win any money.
I'm curious what you think about this one, because Fangio is definitely familiar with Mahomes, and he has given him trouble in the past with a lot less talent than he's got right now.
Pull it out.
Are you trying to cleanse yourself of another question, Nick?
No.
Okay.
Trying to cleanse myself of Vic Fangio's defense. It's giving me warmth. It's warming my soul. All right. Is there more from it? Yeah. So, Cody, here's your fun fact. The Chiefs are 8-0 against Vic Fangio defenses.
It's a pretty good number.
Just for people that don't know, Dude, I'm going to blow this thing out. But actually, I don't want to. It's giving me so much warmth for my soul. Yeah, for Fangio, for people that don't, Fangio was actually with he was a consultant for the Eagles the last time that Super Bowl happened. So the Eagles have basically been to the Super Bowl twice because Vic Fangio has helped with the defense multiple times. So that's what's going to be interesting this time, because for people that don't realize, their offensive coordinator Shane Steichen from last time is the Colts head coach, and their defense coordinator Jonathan Gannon is the Arizona Cardinals head coach. So this is going to be this will be talked about by people, but if they didn't have Barkley, I think people would see that Kellen Moore is not a good offensive coordinator. But he does have a lot of weapons, and I do wish him well when he becomes the Saints head coach and gets exposed. So we'll find out. And with that, the candle ceremony has ended on this question.
There you go.
I don't know,
Brian. Appreciate you reminding.
Spoke or not.
Always appreciate Brian reminding everybody to hit that like button. And
that's
you know
right.
What?
Hit the like. Hit the like. Hit the like. Hit the like.
I also realized that it has been way too long since we have gotten a review over on the podcast, Apple Podcasts.
Oh yeah.
So I have not been doing a very good job of that. So if you like 41 is the mic, frankly, if you don't like 41 is the mic, still go over. I mean, if I just want one person a week, that's all I'm asking for. So one person, go over, give us a 5-star, review because you like the podcast and everything. Dawn, who I know is a regular on here, was I think the last one that I saw on there with a review. So can't hurt you to just go ahead and give us a review. We need that. It helps other people find the podcast. So, and just like hitting the like button, hitting the bell here helps people find the podcast on YouTube. So truly appreciate that. And with that, back to lightning round for a few more minutes.
Let's do it, Matt.
Except I lost my place when I was in the middle of that. So we're close.
Thomas, I have not been hitting the bottle. I am very much sober. So thank you though, Thomas. But I do have a lot of sugar that I did consume in my hot chocolate.
The hot chocolate. Any thoughts on the Bills leaving their short yardage plays up to a scrum? I feel like that's a side effect of the tush push. If it's called shorts, it's likely not overturned. I mean, it's worked well. It worked well for them until they ran into a team that scouted it really well and defended it correctly.
If I remember correctly, the Bills call it the snowplow.
Yeah, it's not. They don't push anything. I mean, you can't push Josh Allen. He's 6'5" and 240 pounds.
The running back behind him tries, though.
The running back behind him is like, 30% smaller than he is.
I don't know what to tell you, Matt. I really don't.
It's like a flea trying to push me.
Matt, I don't know what to tell you. But what I do know is this trophy case is staying up until, we'll see. I mean, we'll see on Super Bowl night.
The tush push is completely different than what Buffalo is doing. I think Buffalo thinks they're doing the tush push, but they're not.
They're doing the snowplow, Matt.
They're doing the snowplow. There you go. It's very different because I mean to me it looks like
because it's not successful. That's why it looks different.
That's why it looks different. I mean that's exactly it. It to me it looks like Buffalo is trying to do the tush push but doesn't know how to do it.
Yes.
Mitchell, do you agree that the interior O-line struggled Sunday, especially with the run? If so, why?
So, I apologize for this in advance. To Matt Damon, we ran out of time tonight. No, but for Mike Caliendo, he's still building up his strength. I know he's in year 2 of the league, but like from a strength perspective, he's still working on that to get to starting offensive lineman level. And so whenever he goes up against somebody of Ed Oliver's caliber, like he struggled, and that's to be expected because Ed Oliver is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. So Caliendo does his best, but right now, that's why if I were in the Chiefs' shoes and had Joe Thuney at the left guard spot, I think that run game would be a little bit different with a combination of him and DJ Humphries. But part of it was the Bills were run blitzing, and so the Chiefs did RPO at times off of that and said, okay, looks like they're going to run blitz, RPO, ta-da. And so the Bills were trying to do some stuff to really kind of shoot the gaps and everything. And when the Chiefs went to some of their short yardage stuff, they really went after they had some combinations situated to where one guy was going to sacrifice himself to the blocker, and then the other two guys were going to shoot the gap that he kind of opened up for them. So there was ways the Bills went about it to really kind of slow down that run game from tackle to tackle. And that's where the Chiefs early on, they may, depend what they do run blocking wise, that may help if they can throw some curveballs at them the Eagles aren't expecting in the run game about how they're going to be blocked. Then maybe that can be part of that puzzle for the future.
John has kind of an interesting question tied to this to me a little bit. What do you think are the weak links on the Eagles defense that the Chiefs should target?
I'm not in tape study enough at this point to be able to tell you that portion of it. Like, unfortunately, that's going to be next week after I've watched their entire season. And I will, and Matt knows I will watch their entire season.
Yes, he will. I say this just from looking at just from a number standpoint. I mean, to me, I think there's a weakness in the middle of the field that the Chiefs can attack. That's a very good secondary, though. I'm not sure, though, Nick, that the pass rush, I don't think it's as good as the one the Chiefs saw 2 years ago.
It's not, but they've got a really good interior.
They do have a very good interior.
Interior is what's making that defense.
But Xavier Worthy might be a really, really big player in this game. And I know that's really going out on a limb, but
no, I mean, because like they got two rookies. They got Reid Blankenship, who you're going to remember from the last one. Then they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson that's got nightmares from Corn Dog. And then Darius Slay, who I want to say he was in that last one. And then they got Lewis Seen buried in the depth chart. And we'll see if Ringo is out there a handful of times or if Maddox is out there. That'll be interesting if they're out there. But yes.
I'm also going to say, I mean, this is unrelated to the question, but you made me think about it. Mm-hmm. I want to see the Chiefs run Corn Dog. I think they're going to use it again because it always works.
It will. I think they're going to do a variation off of it. I think they'll do a variation. I think they're going to sneakily use the motion, but I think it's just misdirection for what they're actually going to do.
I think that
that's got Andy's fingerprints written all over it.
It does.
He's going to show it, but it's going to be something completely different. Like the Eagles are going to be prepared for it. They're like, they're not beating us with this again in another Super Bowl. And they're going to see them like, oh, we're going to stop it. And then it's like, oh.
Andy is so good at look over here, look at this. And this is where we're going. Because I'll tell you what, I did not think when on that touchdown in Mahomes, I did not think he had the ball until I saw him go into the end zone. I was watching the running back because I did not think that he had the football.
No, once I saw both tight ends pulling, I was like, he's got the ball. Because once I saw both of them pulling out in front, I was like, he's got the ball. And he did.
I also, I want them, because it is New Orleans, Nick, I need them to run 65 toss power trap.
They'll probably try.
I just need it. In my heart, I need that. Deldrick, would you sign Kareem Hunt and draft a running back? I think I know. I'm gonna play mind reader, Nick, here. I bet you would say yes to both.
This is the one time I will look ahead to the 2025 offseason, and I would say yes. And there are a couple running backs. Might I interest you in?
Oh, is that a tease for the future or
no? I'll tell you right now.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Well, Kansas fans like what you're going to say?
It has nothing to do with Kansas. But I do need to tip my cap to Matty Lane on two of them. He's the one who introduced me to them. And they are Amari and Hampton from North Carolina. Watch him. Very good. I need to double check the LaQuint Allen from Syracuse. He's kind of like a blend between the explosive running back I'd want and kind of Pacheco in a way. But I need to double check that Allen did, in fact, that he's definitely part of the draft. I love RJ Harvey from UCF. And then I love some Cam Scattaboo from Arizona State.
Yeah.
Because
everybody loves him.
Reason do I like DJ Giddens? Sure. But Devin Neal, I think, is going to have a a really successful career as a power running back. And the reason I'm naming off a lot of Big 12 guys is because I got to vote on the AP All Big 12 this year. So for people that don't know, I voted in the past. I've been able to vote on the Simone Awards here in Kansas City. So it was an honor for me. This year, I got to vote on AP's All Big 12 team. I was one of a handful that got to vote on that. I was honored by that. So thank you to Dave Scretta for giving me that chance while him and his kids enjoyed Disneyland or Disney World, one of the two. I think it was Disney World. I think they went to Florida because Land. That's how I remember. Yes. You know how I remember those, Matt?
How do you remember that?
Disneyland has LA in it, and that's where it's at.
There you go.
And Disney World is in Florida. So that's how I remember that. But yeah, that's why I watched all them closely, and I really was impressed with those guys running back wise. Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, I thought it was a little bit more rigid, stiff athletically, but I want to watch more games. So I like to watch 3 to 5 games of a player, and I like to watch them early in the year if I can to see where they are when their body's fresh. Middle of the year, where they at after they've had a handful of games, and then towards the end of the year when they get to their bowl game or if they play in a Big 12 championship or something like that. But for like someone like Cam Scatterboot, I got to watch. He had a monster game in the what was it, college football playoffs? I think it was either college football playoffs or Big 12, but I think he had on both actually. And like so those are
it was that playoff game against Texas, right?
There was that too, but I think he had a monster game then, and he wasn't feeling too well. But there are 36 running backs I will be watching at some point that I have on this list right now that I was going over today and double checking. I've already told people too much because now they're actually going to ask me draft questions. And I don't want them to. So forget this from your mind.
I have questions about 36 different running backs for you, Nick.
Forget this from your mind. I've said too much. But yes, I think Kareem, even just being a veteran presence, I think is good in a short yardage back. But yeah, they do need to add more explosiveness to that running back room. And
speed would be nice.
And they need a lot of speed. And then because I think speed, you take somebody like Saquon Barkley, and I'm not saying the Chiefs get a running back, but you take somebody with Saquon Barkley's athletic ability, drop him on the Chiefs team right now, Texans game ain't close. Bills game ain't close. A lot more games. The Chiefs have blowouts this season, and national media is just raving about how the Chiefs are just reinventing offense in the NFL.
The Chiefs need like a 6-foot guy that's top, at least top 15 running back and speed at the combine and top 10 cone drill. So that's just, template right there. They need some speed. Albert, will you be posting all your interviews from Media Week to YouTube? If so, subscribe. Yes, everyone. And for everybody who's still around, I will say this: give me some ideas for those of you who are members. What would you like to see from New Orleans? That's just for members who subscribe here. Hey. Make some special requests, and I will make sure you do what I can do. You say that kind of creepily, Nick, but I want to hear it.
Okay. Special request I have is if you guys have some comments of questions you want asked, not necessarily for a player, but just a couple questions, and you subscribe, maybe Matt asks those questions in his YouTube.
There you go.
As long as they're reasonable questions. If it's what would you name be for your pony? Don't ask that one, man. But if you got something that somebody puts in the subscriber comment section.
Definitely not asking any of the morning drive time questions. No, it won't be any of these.
I'm intrigued.
What do your farts smell like? That is not going to be one of my questions, Nick.
All right.
Jay likes my lightning rounds, so somebody does.
Let's not call them lightning rounds. Let's call them leisurely stroll rounds.
They are kind of
scenic
leisurely stroll rounds.
Okay.
Let's see what we got.
Charlie, I'll tell Charlie while you're looking for the question. Charlie, I know the Ohio State running backs. I just haven't watched, other than watching Henderson like live in a game. The thing is, I like to watch the cut-ups so I get to see it quickly and see a quick pace to it and do it efficiently and effectively and kind of compare them really quickly. Like that's the way I like to watch a lot of those prospects. And when I watch them in a game and everything, it just doesn't give me the same quick evaluation that I like whenever I'm trying to see what all player has available in their tool belt of athletic ability.
I feel bad we're just getting to this question now, Nick, because, it's 9:08 and all, because we could spend an entire podcast on this question. But Neo, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Love first-time questions. That is a complicated answer, but I'm trying to think of maybe the short kind of way to pair it together and everything.
Oh, you want me to lightning round it for you, buddy?
Lightning round it for us.
Okay, so in the past, when we've been able to observe either at training camp or at practices that are made available to the media over the past decade, normally there's a call sheet, and on that call sheet is down and distance calls. So on 3rd and 6, here's the plays that they like. And against these coverages, there's where they work best. Against all coverages, this is where it works best. Are they on the left hash? Are they on the right hash? Then they have them all paired together, and then they pick the play. Then in the past, you've seen, I believe Matt, whoever the offensive coordinator is at the time, call that into the quarterback's headset. Quarterback relays the play, and then they adjust whatever needs to be adjusted to it, and then they go from there.
And and the Chiefs are never necessarily completely transparent about the process. And honestly, they do and have used different processes. I mean, sometimes Andy Reid calls the play, the coordinator then relays it in. I mean, eventually, regardless, Matt, the coordinator, relays every play then to the quarterback. It's just a question maybe of sometimes if Andy's calling the plays or Matt's calling the plays. It can be where Matt's calling the plays and Andy's just using his veto that if he doesn't like the play, they'll change it. But here's the other thing to remember is that, when they're calling plays on game day, 90% of the time, they already know what they're going to call in these situations because they have a meeting on Friday after all the practices, quarterbacks, coaches, all together, and they go through all these situations. And it's like, okay, 1st and 15, what do you like if we get into that situation? 3rd and 2, what do you want? If we're in the red zone, what do you want? Goal line, what do you feel? What worked best this week? I mean, they go through this to the point where, I mean, Mahomes is going to know most of the time what the play probably coming in is, and obviously he can ask for plays. You've seen it, so he can go to the sideline and say, "Is there time for Wasp?" So it can work a lot of different ways, but that's the lightning round version of it. We could, like I said, we could spend an entire podcast talking about that sometime.
Yes, we could, Matt. Yes, we
could. I am, since it is lightning round, it is late. I'm skipping over some questions that we might have already, kind of touched on, or one that I know will drive Nick crazy.
Why do you always throw me under the bus, man?
I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
You don't mean to. You just do.
I don't mean to.
It's just instinctual.
You know what? I get it now. I hadn't really thought about that because I didn't think I was throwing you under the bus. I thought I was trying to be respectful of your time.
Matt, we're already at 9:00. I don't understand.
I suppose at this point, all I'm really doing is keeping you away from being able to watch Eagles film.
At some point tonight, sure. At this very moment, no, I'm going to go watch Will Trent here in a minute once we're done.
Because yes, if I'd known that you had a chance, I would go to Susanna's question about did the Chiefs?
Yeah,
no,
you can go back to it. There's something I
you
saved somewhere. I just can't remember where I saved it. Trying to find the numbers that I ran through on that.
Oh, if you got some numbers for Susanna, let's go to them.
Matt, that's what I'm. Okay. All right. Let me know when you're ready. Pop up Susanna's question.
It's there.
All right. So, the Eagles, in the postseason, they've run cover one man coverage 25% of the time. They don't really run a lot of man coverage in the regular season or the postseason. So, I mean, they've stayed true to cover one man on a lot of what they've done this year. It's probably about a fourth of their defensive calls. The wheelhouse that they live in for the most part is zone coverage with cover 3 zone, cover 4 zone, and cover 6 zone. So cover 3 zone, they've done 26% of the time. Then they've done another 26% of the time in cover 4, and then they've used cover 6 during the playoffs about 16% of the time. And that is from Football Insights, because they do a phenomenal job keeping tabs on coverages, and I thank them for that.
There you go. Got your answer there.
So, yeah, about basically 3/4 of what they've done in the postseason has been cover 3, cover 4, cover 6 zone. Even in the regular season, they've stayed true to that for the most part. The only thing they've really upped is cover 4. They've done more of that and a little less of cover 3. But in terms of man coverage, they're cover 1 for the most part. How about that, Matt? Huh?
Very good. And I love it, man. Thank you. Jackie, we still call Chamari Connor a safety despite not playing safety and exclusively slot. I mean, he's still a safety, and I call him a safety mostly because he practices with the safeties. I mean, that's just, whether you call it a crazy thing, but when the Chiefs just, go to their individual groups, they got their corners in one group and their safeties in another, and Chamari Connor is always with the safeties. The other thing, yes, he does play a lot of slot, which, that's, there's a lot of safeties who play slot, so that's not a big differentiation. But looking at the numbers, roughly 2/3 of his snaps are in the slot. Interestingly, 1/3 of them are in the box. So he's basically either a slot or a dime linebacker. That's kind of the two primary positions that he plays. He's got a handful of snaps as a free safety, but that's not, that's just, I think, more rotational, more matchup specific, just a specific front and a look and everything. And maybe they've had to rotate based on something that the offense has done. But, that's why I call him a safety.
Yeah, with where we're at time-wise, there's not much I have interest in adding on to that.
All right, I'm going to get Nick out of here.
No, because you promised people that you were going to answer all of their questions and you were going to do it in an efficient and effective way. And we're now 16 minutes over the regular time that you're normally done.
One day in the offseason, Nick, can we get some Todd Haley stories from you?
No, I don't want to. I'll give you one, but it was a public practice, so you know what? We don't have to do offseason. We're going to do it now.
Fire away. We can always.
It was a public practice, so I can say this. I want you to know that this is Chiefs training camp up in St. Joe. It's between 3 to 6 in the afternoon. Matt, I think I've told you this story before.
I believe yes.
Yeah, I think I told you this recently. It's so it's the hottest part of the day in St. Joe, and Terrence Copper is at wide receiver coming. He's coming on a crossing route, and this is after Charlie Weiss has left. So this is Todd running the offense now, and Terrence Copper is coming across on a crossing route, and he used to have ones versus ones. So Matt Castle's back there and everything. And, he's reading and he's staring down Terrence Copper on this crossing route. Derek Johnson's sitting there just waiting. And, it's like I got the perfect end zone view up in the tent we're watching it from. And then Matt just fires it in there. And, he puts it in a good spot to where he's leading Copper and everything. And DJ just jumps the route, picks it off, and starts running back the other way. And then at some point, DJ holds up the ball while he's running because it's a practice and he's having fun with it. And he had to work his way out of Todd Haley's doghouse his first year. And, he accomplished that. Took him a little bit, but he accomplished it, even though he never should have been in his doghouse to begin with, but whatever. And then Todd Haley just starts saying words that form sentences that little children should not hear at Chiefs training camp. But it's a public practice, and I can hear everything he's saying as clear as day. And I'm a solid, 70, 80 feet minimum away. I'm at least, I know for sure I'm about 50 yards away from it. So whatever 50 yards equals into feet, you go with that. And because I know 3 feet equals a yard, so I'm about 100. I'm probably 180 feet away, and I can still hear everything as if I'm standing on the sidelines right next to the play happening. And he had some choice words for Castle and why he did that, why he didn't anticipate that, and why he didn't see that. And, Todd would end up getting fired later in the year.
Really hard to understand why, Todd Haley was incapable of getting the best out of his players sometimes.
I got a feeling they wanted that Todd Haley story because we did the porta potty story last week. Where they'd open the door and throw the football in.
It is amazing how many Todd Haley stories I hear, and they usually involve porta potties or cursing.
That's actually pretty. Or Diet Coke. The dude loved Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. I forgot about that. Showing up, he had to have the Diet Coke when he showed up for his press conferences. 90 minutes late.
Yeah, from people I trust, he would drink 6 or 7 of those in a day. I'm surprised he didn't have more kidney stone problems, personally.
Well, once you had to sue for the whatever was in your salad or your Diet Coke or whatever it was that I can't remember what his wife had. That was a story.
I don't know. We're gonna stay away from. Let's just stay away from that part.
All right. Quick question here for KSU 1989. Do you see Tyquan Thornton filling McColl's role with the jet sweep? I mean, not now. I mean, it's always possible that he could play a role next year, but not this year. Not in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, not this year.
And I think our final question here I'm going to go with, Nick, that we haven't had a repeat or anything from Mitchell. Did the Chiefs change their offensive game plan in the second half, or did the Bills just adjust to what they did in the first half? It sure wasn't working in the third quarter.
Like I said, the Bills were doing some run blitzes there, trying to discourage the Chiefs from being able to run. That's what I was talking about earlier. They were really hitting that hard on first down, and there's some stuff they were trying to do second down. They just didn't have as good a game plan as the Texans did to really kind of stifle that offense and long term and everything. And then the Chiefs really knew what they were gonna drop into zone wise. So then the Chiefs were able to take advantage of that when they needed to, and they had some misdirection stuff that they had set up and ready for them that they adjusted to. But at the end of the day, the Bills adjusted at halftime, took away some things, and they were starting to get there in the second quarter, but they got there in the third quarter, and then the Chiefs turned it on, flipped the script on them, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, really, even at first drive, the Chiefs were doing well until they get, second and 11. I mean, they'd gotten down to the Buffalo 37 at that point. And then, second and 11, then Mahomes takes the sack. I mean, but second and 11 is just, I mean, you've suddenly put yourself in a terrible position there, because I think Andy Reid has some sort of crazy stat that, like, if you lose yards on first down, you end up punting like 95% of the time. I mean, I don't think that's the number, but it's something ridiculous like that. I mean, you just can't lose yardage on first down. And once you get in that spot, you are behind the 8 ball. And the drive was doing okay until then. So sometimes it's just one play that can torpedo an entire drive. And in that case, 1 yard loss kind of did it to him, because then they get the sack, and that's all she wrote. So I think we covered as much as we could, Nick. I greatly appreciate your time and staying overtime, because you are an outstanding sports producer person.
I just love the fact that you came in tonight, talked a big game like the Cincinnati Bengals, and talked about how you were gonna be lightning round all the time. You were gonna get through it all, and then here we are with one of our latest Q&As ever.
Yeah, this I think I knew long. So
it is.
I blame myself.
That's all you can. I mean, there's literally nobody else you can except me.
And I would never blame you.
That's probably a good idea.
You're a guest. So I would never blame you.
I mean, you can.
It's your off day. I can't blame you on an off day.
Oh, so you're going to blame me on a work day?
I'll blame you sometime on 41 as the bike.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
I don't. We are. Well, I say we. I am going to be trying to do a few live shows next week from New Orleans. They might not be 2 hour long live Q&As, but Nick, I mean, we were probably going to try and do the Q&A from well, you from Kansas City and me from New Orleans on Tuesday night. I assume you're still going to be free on a semi-off day.
Tuesday I'll be fun.
So I'm going to try and see if I can't set up in Radio Row like we did last year and have a good old time and have the regular Q&A. But there obviously next week will be a ton of videos coming from Chiefs Digest throughout the week. Try to get you as much as I can from the player availabilities, maybe get you some things that you won't see anywhere else, get you some questions. Like Nick said, you got some questions you want to ask, put them here on the stream, put them in the chat, put them over in the comment section. Let me know, because you got some good questions. I'll ask them. I'm always looking for good storylines and good questions. So be a lot, because there's a lot of availabilities next week. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good stuff to you. Nick and I are going to be doing our preview show on Sunday. So 41 is the mic, and the preview of the Super Bowl. We'll have that for you. Obviously, like I said, Tuesday with the live Q&A for sure. I'm going to, like I said, try and pop up with some maybe some special live episodes throughout the week here and there. I'm going to try and do, like I said, some of you all who are members here, let me know what you want. Some member exclusives. I'd be glad to do some of those next week as well, because I need to do a better job of that. I'm terrible at that, Nick, because I get really excited, I do something, and then I don't do anything member exclusive for like 3 months. So
you better.
I need to step up the game.
Yeah, Matt, you probably should. Okay. You probably should, Matt.
And Charlie appreciated Darth Matt, so I like that. And you were on a heater tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what put me on a heater, but it's very kind of you.
I don't know, but I might just load you up with some gift cards for hot chocolate.
Don't do that. My doctor wouldn't like that, and he might be watching right now for all I know. And I'm sorry in advance. What a ruin.
Yeah, if my doctor is watching after my physical earlier today, Jedi mind trick. You don't hear anything about what I'm eating or drinking. So this is water, I swear. All right, everybody. I've wasted enough of Nick's evening. Thank you all. Thank you, Nick.
I got the video to close you out.
Got the video to close us out. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the ride. Be a little quiet before the storm this week, but next week, there will be some storm from New Orleans. Take care, everybody.
All things Chiefs, right here. 41 is the mic, a Chiefs podcast on your home of the Chiefs. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Also available to